Chapter 611 See Through. Chapter 611 See Through. Yemo had the feeling that Kong Laiwu's sentence from before contained some information he was yet to pinpoint. Kong Laiwu continued. If I'm not wrong, you must be Yemo? The one behind you must be Mayor Sure. If you don't mind, I'll call you Young Master Mo. Kong Laiwu looked calm, but only he knew that if the person in front of him was really Yemo, then he was probably no match for him. He couldn't have expected to meet Yemo there. Yemo finally understood why he felt something was weird about Kong Laiwu's first sentence. Usually, ancient martial artists wouldn't lower themselves to studying guns, yet Kong Laiwu, who was at the peak of the earth level, which meant that he had been studying ancient martial arts since he was small, knew about the Type 64 pistol. That was abnormal. Considering how Kong Laiwu was talking to him without asking for permission from Daiheng first, Yemo could see that Kong Laiwu had at least the same status as Daiheng. Yemo ignored Kong Laiwu and looked at Daiheng. You're the one causing trouble in the Jioha Corporation case and harassing Li Chunxing? Ha ha! Daiheng laughed at first, but he immediately put his smile away and said coldly. So you're Yemo. The Chiu family is scared of you, the Song family is scared of you, but I, Daiheng, am not scared of you. What do you think you are? I know you have some power in Luoyu, but so what even if you call Suyuhua here? You're right, I caused all of that trouble. What will you do about it? Yemo was dazed but immediately understood that not many people could know that he owned Luoyu. He'd been letting Suyuhua, Yu Miaodan and Zhang Jiayan manage and speak for Luoyu. It was normal that Daiheng thought he was just some manager. This also meant that Han Zixin hadn't spilled anything about him. Yemo spun his pistol and ordered plainly. Send Lu Lin, Yen Yen and Yi Xiaodi over right now. In response, Daiheng looked at Kong Laiwu. Yemo understood that this Daiheng guy wanted Kong Laiwu to stop his bullets. But even though Kong Laiwu nodded on the outside, he was sneering in his heart. This Daiheng was asking to die. Although he really wanted to fight Yemo, he didn't dare risk it. He had to wait for an ending. Daiheng's life had nothing to do with him. Seeing Kong Laiwu nod, however, Daiheng said lazily, Aren't you smart, having figured out everything? But unfortunately, Li Chunxing is asking to die. Even if he didn't come to Jiotang, his ending will be all the same. As for you dash. Bang bang, blood sprouted from Daiheng's knee, and he knelt down on the ground. He looked at his knee in terror, and in that moment he even forgot about the pain. Immediately after, he looked at Kong Laiwu with an angry face. He didn't believe that Kong Laiwu couldn't even catch 2 bullets. They should be like toys to him, so why hadn't he saved him? But Daiheng saw that Kong Laiwu's face was also pale. He didn't understand how Yemo could shoot bullets so fast with a mere 64. His shots had been many times faster than a normal 64's. This wasn't even the most shocking thing. The moment Yemo opened fire, Kong Laiwu had felt like he was locked on by a very strong killing intent. He felt as if he would be killed immediately as long as he moved so much as an inch. He originally thought that even if he was no match for Yemo, the difference between them should still be rather limited, but now he knew that he was far inferior to Yemo. He had originally planned on stopping a bullet if it would be going for Daiheng's vitals, but now he knew that no matter where Yemo shot, he wouldn't be able to stop it. He immediately started to sweat. Without an endi, he would be killed all too easily by Yemo. Kong Laiwu finally confirmed that the intel he had once gotten should be right. Yemo was a half-stepped Great Heaven Master, someone infinitely close to the Great Heaven stage. He didn't dare say anything and just wanted his pal to come faster because otherwise, their plan wouldn't be realized. Seeing a Kong Laiwu with his mouth shut and a bad-looking face, Daiheng knew he couldn't rely on him. I have 1 more bullet in my gun. If you talk any more shit, this bullet will be for your forehead. Yemo looked at the gun and casually remarked. Daiheng, bring Lu Lin and her 2 daughters here immediately. How dare you take away young Master Mo's friends? Immediately have an endi bring them over to young Master Mo. Kong Laiwu suddenly roared at Daiheng. Daiheng shivered and finally felt scared. Although it seemed like Kong Laiwu was his bodyguard, the truth was that Kong Laiwu could ignore him if he wanted. Although he didn't know why it had to be an Endi who should bring them here, he could only listen to Kong Laiwu. In the end, Kong Laiwu was actually more in the know than him. He had been planning on sleeping with all three women together, yet now, he had already lost his knees. Meanwhile, the woman behind Dai Heng was dazed. Everything had happened so fast. The big tree she relied on had already been hacked down. Dai Heng immediately picked up the phone and called an Endi to bring the three women over. He had been very cocky recently. He left China 5 years ago, and when he came back, he was full of confidence. The reason was that he had joined a top-grade organization not long ago. Yemo looked at Dai Heng and knew that he was just a scapegoat, but Kong Laiwu's last words were somewhat questionable. Immediately have an Endi bring them over to young Master Mo. Was it important who sent them over? Before the three got there, a large amount of police officers came. They were immediately full of worry, looking at the ground covered in blood and dead people. Kong Laiwu was about to put a stop to it and send the police away, when Yemo took out a document and said, "Take the dead men away and lock up these hoodlums." The police took the document and immediately gave it back respectfully. "Yes, sir." Seeing the police come and go so fast without even asking why Yemo had killed, even Kong Laiwu really wanted to know what Yemo's other identity was. "Wan Chu, you guys can go for now. Sure Xiao, you should stay." Yemo knew they wouldn't be of any help anyway. Wan Chu agreed and left. Sure Xiao's other friends also didn't dare stay and quickly ran. Only Shui Guiyang and Sure Xiao stayed. "Young Master Mo, we really didn't plan on starting trouble with you. The Dai family and Xiao family just wanted to join up against the Li family, but then the Yi family also joined, and what happened, happened. However, please forgive us for any disrespect." Kong Laiwu didn't hide anything. Yemo wasn't interested in political warfare and smiled. "Mr. Kong, you must not be of simple origin to be able to reach the peak of the earth level. Other than the Zhang family having Zhang Zhiwei, I really don't know which Chinese family has an earth peak level master. Are you really from the Dai family?" Kong Laiwu's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect Yemo would be able to see through his power level. This shook him. If he had fought with Yemo, then it would be understandable, but he had never so much as exchanged moves with Yemo, so how could Yemo tell? Was he already at the great heaven level? Before Kong Laiwu could answer, Yemo spoke in contempt once more. "You can't be from the Dai family, right? To be honest, I don't even think you're Chinese. Your way of doing things seems quite familiar. Makes me think of this organization I heard about called Northern Sand." Kong Laiwu shook, and the tea in front of him fell over. There was an insurmountable feud between Yemo and Northern Sand, so even if Yemo hadn't shot Dai Heng, he would have tried to find an opportunity to get an Endi to come. He really didn't know how Yemo was able to tell he was part of Northern Sand. At that moment, Yemo's spirit sense picked up on a white man of small stature walking slowly to the restaurant door. Chapter 612, Such Powerful Weapon. Chapter 612, Such Powerful Weapon. The moment he saw the white man, Yemo knew he was an Endi. Because Kong Laiwu had requested for him to come, he studied an Endi closely. The guy walked very slowly and had a strange chi wave. It wasn't his first time in contact with this type of person. Yemo immediately knew that man was a mutant. Although he didn't know what level, he wouldn't be any weaker than Peter, who he had met at Luotsang. Yemo sneered. If they wanted to do anything to him just with that guy, then they underestimated him too much. Yemo's spirit sense scanned the man's sleeve and found that there was a gun in it, smaller than an average pistol. Its design was very strange. Were they planning to use that strange weapon against him? Yemo studied the gun, but he honestly believed that firearms really didn't pose a threat to him. Even if they had nuclear weapons, it had to be able to hit him first. The most threatening weapon Yemo had ever encountered was the explosive laser bomb, but that thing cost 100 million to be made. And even though, he wasn't an idiot who would stand there and just let them blow him up. So, what could a pistol like that do to him? Still, Yemo was much more careful now. Despite not considering the pistol a threat, he still scanned it with his spirit sense. As soon as he did, he got up immediately. What's wrong? Seeing Yemo get up, Luoing also got up. Nothing, I'm thinking about something. Sit down. Yemo smiled to Luoing and said. Luoing knew that Yemo had found out something, but she didn't ask. He had noticed that the pistol didn't have bullets, which was no normal gun's mechanism. But what really shocked him the most was that there was a small piece of crystal in the gun. This crystal was placed in a sort of circuit that he didn't understand. Furthermore, that small crystal was a piece of the extreme energy crystal. Even though Yemo didn't know how powerful that pistol was, he knew it had certainly been designed by Yixing. It could definitely threaten his life. Young Master Mo, don't worry. Lu Lin and the others haven't been mistreated at all. When Daiheng saw that Yemo's expression wasn't good, he feared for his life. Yemo wasn't in the mood to talk with Daiheng. His spirit sense was focused on the short white man. He rejoiced that he had spirit sense. If that gun was really powerful and he hadn't had spirit sense, he would have been at risk of dying that day, even if he had reached great heaven. The white man walked to the counter and asked for something, but he didn't come up immediately. Yemo also noticed that Lu Lin and the rest hadn't even arrived yet. At that moment, 4 people entered through door. The leading man was a tall white man and 3 women followed behind him. It was Lu Lin and the others. But they looked fatigued and despaired. Yemo was dazed. Had he made a mistake? Was the man who just entered an Endi? Was the short man who was in front of him just a passerby? Yemo shook his head and immediately refuted that idea. A passerby wouldn't carry an extreme energy stone pistol just like that. They are working together, Yemo thought. The tall white man led the 3 women into the elevator. Yemo's spirit sense scanned him. He found out that he was mutant too, and not a weak one. He also had a pistol, but it was an ordinary one. Just when Yemo was getting quite confused, the short white man also walked into the elevator with a waitress. Yemo breathed at easy. His guess was right. The 2 men didn't talk to each other, but they were on the same team. The 6 people all exited the elevator on the 6th floor. The short white man looked like he didn't mind the people in front of him at all. He talked with the waitress as he squished her ass. The 2 groups were approximately 6 meters apart. Soon, they reached room 616 and the tall white man knocked on the door. Kong Laiwu was getting up to open, but Yemo stopped him. He walked to the door and sighed. 6 meters were just enough for the short white man to reach the door when he opened it. It seemed they had already thought of a thorough plan to deal with him. Yemo didn't understand why they were putting their hopes on that pistol. It seemed that as long as they opened fire, he wouldn't be able to get away. Yemo walked to the door, but kept his spirit sense on the short man. Although he seemed to be flirting with the waitress, he was also highly concentrated. The moment he opened the door, he flung a wind blade to the short man. Almost at the same time, the tall white man pulled out his gun and Kong Laiwu also attacked from behind. Everything happened so fast. Just when Yemo had thrown a wind blade, while the white man hadn't pulled out his gun yet and Kong Laiwu's fist was still half a meter from Yemo's back, a blue beam of light flashed. It pierced the tall white man's back, going through his stomach diagonally and piercing the ground a few millimeters away from Yemo's toe. Yemo noticed that the blue ray had gone through 6 floors and into the ground in an extreme high speed. So fast. But Yemo didn't have time to think. He knew Kong Laiwu's fist was about to hit him. He ignored Kong Laiwu. To him the short white man had the biggest threat. He dashed to the short white man and grabbed his arm, which hadn't fell on the floor yet. At this moment, Kong Laiwu's fist hit the tall white man. His target had been Yemo, but he had instantly disappeared. That tall white man was already dead because of being shot by the blue light, but now he was struck by Kong Laiwu's fist too. Yemo grabbed the pistol from the hand and finally felt assured. He couldn't help to applaud the man's speed. He had attacked first, but the man had still managed to pull the trigger. It was because he had sliced off his arm that the pistol aimed down. If not, it would have gone through his leg or chest. His wind blade wasn't as fast as the blue light, that's why the man still could lift up a bit and fire. It had been a close call, Yemo was sweating. If Kong Laiwu had opened the door first, his wind blade would have been even slower. Perhaps Kong Laiwu hadn't realized that he was being used as a mean to hit Emo. If he had died or gotten injured, it was fine, but Luoying was with him. He didn't want to imagine what would have happened to her. Chapter 613 The Threat of Northern Sand. Chapter 613 The Threat of Northern Sand, this crazy organization. They actually sent such crazy killers and weapons to kill him. This pistol could pierce through everything no matter what you had to block it, you would definitely die. Emo was sure that he could easily kill 10 of these mutants. But what if they all had such weapons? If they attacked at the same time, it would be very hard to tell who would win in the end. Emo was sure that the blue light would end up hitting him first. The blue light was beyond Emo's reaction speed. Was this how the Northern Sand wanted to take him out? But Emo believed that even if they had such a powerful weapon, it might be the case that only this white man was able to react with such speed. You knew that true attacker was me? Your reaction speed is no lesser than mine. You're strong, very strong. The white man spoke and fell to the ground. He had killed himself. Why was this guy so similar to the Black Sun Empire members, who still killed themselves with poison when they were caught? But why weren't Kong Laiwu and Dai Heng committing suicide? Emo turned back and looked at Kong Laiwu, who had a pale face, and said coldly, "Nice calculations, Mr. Kong. Your Northern Sand is quite good. One thing though, you were planning on having this tall white guy mask the blue light, but perhaps you were chosen to filter it too. To be honest, I really didn't expect you guys to be able to make such a weapon." Kong Laiwu's face was bad. He knew he was done for. Emo ignored him and looked at Lu Lin and company. "Now that you're here, you don't have to worry anymore." Then, Emo looked at the tall white man in shock. The place where the blue light had pierced him started to expand. "Brother Yi, thank you for saving us again." Yen Yen was the first to react. "Thank you truly?" "Emo, I don't even want the heritage anymore, just as long as the three of us can be safe." Lu Lin thought they were done for when they were brought there, but then they saw Emo. The roller coaster of emotions they had been through, and the scene of dead bodies, made them feel happy to be alive. The battle had gone by so fast that by the time Shi Xiu and Shui Guiyang reacted, it was already over. Emo walked to Kong Laiwu and patted his shoulder with his chi, saying, "I sealed your meridians, so do your best for me. I will wait for you in Jiutang. If you accomplish anything, come find me tomorrow. If not, there's no need to come." Emo then walked to Dai Heng and said, "Go back and make me happy. If I'm not satisfied, you can imagine the consequences." Then Emo scanned Elan. All she felt when Emo looked at her was frigidity. The reason why he didn't kill Dai Heng was because there were a lot of things he needed the guy to do. He could kill Dai Heng at any time anyway. Gaining an obedient dog was much better than killing him. After seeing Emo actually leave, Kong Laiwu honestly couldn't fathom why Emo was letting them go. But soon after, Kong Laiwu felt the inner chi in his body slowly gather towards his dantian. He couldn't use it, and at the current rate at which it was gathering, he had 2 days' time before his dantian would explode. At this moment, he finally understood why Emo had let him go. "Brother Yi, your girlfriend is really pretty." Yi Xiaodi was the first to adjust her state back to normal. "Thank you, you are also very pretty." Emo smiled to her and then said to Lu Lin, "After Dai Heng brings the money here, you guys can move to Luoyu if you don't like it here." We can go to Luoyu. I heard the requirements for getting in are very strict. Also, why would Dai Heng bring any money over?" Yen Yen said. Emo replied, "If he's a smart person, he will, don't worry. As for Luoyu, I'll give you guys a number you should call." "Emo, will Brother Chunxing be fine? Won't this cause problems with the Dai and Xiu family?" Shi Xiu asked worriedly. Emo said, "I don't want to meddle in those fights, but Li Chunxing is my friend, so I will help him, don't worry. I believe Kong Laiwu knows what to do as well." Emo didn't want to kill Kong Laiwu. He might have already left a mark on a high-level member of Northern Sand. He wouldn't mind having an extra one. Northern Sand made him feel threatened. It seemed like Northern Sand was treating him as their number one enemy too. One day, he would have to face off with Northern Sand. He didn't have to make Kong Laiwu join his side to control him, that wasn't realistic anyway, but he could still control him in other ways. Kong Laiwu appeared earlier than Yemo had expected. He came to Yemo's place early on the second day. Northern Sand didn't start the fight between the Li family and the Dai and Chiu families. We were just making use of the event. We can promise that what we wish to do has no conflict of interest with you. Dai Hing did Li Chunxing in, because he happened to get the support of his family for it. Kong Laiwu opened up completely. Yemo knew that Kong Laiwu was trying to get him to trust him. Then Kong Laiwu took out a check and said, "This is the money for the Jioha Corporation. I brought it over." Yemo looked at Lu Lin and asked, "This check is 900 million, but I don't know the market value of Jioha Corporation. Is it enough?" "It's enough. In fact, it's not worth that much." Lu Lin knew that the corporation was worth 500 million at most. Yemo waved his hand and said, "The extra is compensation, just take it." With Yemo's confirmation, Lu Lin agreed. Seeing Yemo take the check, Kong Laiwu breathed a sigh of relief and then said, "Secretary Li's case has been proven to have been someone wrongly accusing him. He has returned to his position. As compensation, the Dai and Chiu family are willing to vacate a provincial vice mayor position in Hefeng, so I'm just conveying the message." Yemo thought, it's good that Li Chunxing got promoted again. He nodded and agreed. Then he said to Shishio, "Li Chunxing got promoted again, go ahead and go to Hefeng to celebrate with him." "Of course." Shishio immediately nodded. "That will do," Yemo said as he patted Kong Laiwu's shoulder. He not only removed the restrictions but also secretly left behind a hidden wave of qi. Kong Laiwu was relieved that Yemo didn't kill him and let him go instead. He immediately turned to leave, not daring to mention anything about their most precious super light beam gun. Chapter 614, 5-Element Rock. Chapter 614, 5-Element Rock. Lu Lin, you three go with Shishio to Hefeng and let Li Chunxing help you get to Luoyu. I still have to take care of some other stuff with Luoying. It'll be a while before I go back. Yemo saw that he was done here and didn't want to stay. If it hadn't been for the trouble in Jiutang, he would have already taken Luoying to the Duanheng ranges to find that nun. To him, the most important thing right now was the golden page and where she had gotten her spirit stone from. Since the nun had also guessed that he had the other two pages, she probably didn't want to go back to the small world. To her, the most important thing was also having the golden page. He was very badly injured and Luoying wasn't strong. Jiesun didn't know he had a lotus life pill, so she must have thought that she would get them for sure. When she recovered, she would go to the village to find him and Luoying. Lu Lin knew that they had to get to Luoyu as soon as they could. Although Yemo was strong, he couldn't stay with them forever. She said gratefully, "Thank you. If it wasn't for you, we would be in peril." Yemo smiled. "It's fine. You should leave soon. It's not safe for you to stay in Jiutang." Hearing this, Lu Lin hesitated before saying, "Jioha got a colorful stone back when he was young. He used to say that stone was very precious, but he didn't know why. He didn't dare let people look at it, fearing it would get unwanted attention. It's in the house. I wanted to give it to you last time you came, but you left so fast that we didn't get a chance. Now it's too late. When we were captured, they took the stone too." Yemo waved his hand. "It was just a stone. I heard Jioha talk about it too. He said he would give it to me when he got free. Since it's not here, never mind." Yemo thought it was at most a precious gemstone, which wasn't much use to him. "Mom, are you talking about the colorful stone that's warm when you hold it in your hand, but sometimes it's also cool?" Yan Yan asked. "What? The stone changes its temperature?" Yemo intervened before Lu Lin could answer. She looked strangely at Yemo and said, "Yes, it's a very eerie stone. What color is it? Does it change color, Tio?" Yemo was getting more excited. Lu Lin nodded. "Yes, the stone's color does change indeed. Sometimes it's just red and white, and then sometimes red, white and blue. Moreover, in rare occasions it could get to 5 colors. Have you seen this sort of stone before? Although Yemo was very excited, he kept himself calm. He knew it was a 5-element rock. It was a very rare material for artifact forging, even rarer than star jade. It was something used to make spirit artifacts, which were countless times more powerful than magic artifacts. Yemo knew that even if he had the rock, he wouldn't be able to make spirit artifacts. If he added a bit of a 5-element rock to ordinary materials, he could make a flying sword. He had been looking for materials to make a flying sword for long, but he had seemed to have ran out of luck. Now that he had found the 5-element rock, he wasn't going to let it go. How big is that stone? Where did you lose it? Yemo asked. As though she could feel Yemo's excitement and desperation, Yi Shaodai suddenly asked, Brother Yi, is that stone very important? More precious than a diamond? Perhaps in her eyes, the most expensive thing in the world was diamond. Yemo nodded. An egg-sized 5-element rock was worth a few million spirit stones. Yemo had never seen that many, not even in his past life. He really didn't understand how the Earth could have such thing. The only explanation was that it came from asteroids and meteorites. Lu Lin immediately said, The stone had the size of 2 fists. After our final trial for the case, I knew things weren't going to be that simple. We started packing our things, but before we could leave we were taken away by the Wu Jin Association. Wu Jin Association? Yemo questioned. There were too many of these small gangs. Wu Jin Association is a rather well-known gang in Hedong province. It wasn't too important before, but due to some reason, the mainland gangs started to decline, so these small gangs rose in power. Shui Guiyang had been working at the police station and knew these things better than everyone else. Lu Lin nodded. After they took us away, all our belongings remain in their hands. We still haven't gotten them back yet. After understanding the situation, Yemo got up and said to Shi Xiu and Shui Guiyang, You guys can go back to Hefeng first, I'll return once I'm done here. Brother Yi, should we wait for you and Sister Luo at Hefeng? Yi Shaodai asked. Yemo smiled. No need. Try to find a way to get to Luoyu once you're in Hefeng. I'm busy, I'll go visit you guys to Luoyu. Yemo wanted to send Luoying to Luoyu before he went looking for the 5-element stone. After being aware of the threat that pistol posed, he was sure that Northern Sand could make at least 8 more with the stones they had. Without counting the one he had already dealt with, they had about 7 of them. If something happened to Luoying, even if he reached Ascension stage, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Without Luoying, he doubted if he would have the will to continue cultivation. After marrying Luoying, she was a part of his life. If they managed to make not only a pistol, but also a sniper that was outside his spirit sense range, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. Yemo was sure that Northern Sand wasn't going to let him go after suffering such heavy loss. They just didn't have the confidence to take him out anymore. Luoying seemed to know what Yemo was thinking and touched his face. And I'll wait for you. Didn't you say your sister was at Ninghai? Send me there. Be careful. Yemo took out that extreme energy stone pistol and gave it to Luoying. Susu, take this pistol. If you're ever in danger, don't give them any chance, just fire. No one will know I'm staying in Ninghai. I won't be in danger, so I'd rather you keep this pistol. Luoying immediately rejected. He hugged her and said, This pistol can only be used a few times, and I won't use it. You can use it to protect yourself and Bei Wei. I'll come to meet you guys as soon as I get the stone. When he realized that he was going to take Luoying to Luoyu, Yemo hesitated. He didn't know if it was the right moment to tell her about Qingxue. Luoying could see Yemo's hesitance, but she didn't ask. He would tell her what needs to be told. Chapter 615, Wu Jin Association. Chapter 615, Wu Jin Association. Compared to the chaos Beijing was in, the second largest city of China, Jin City, was rather calm. Yet the wealthiest family in the city, the Shen family, wasn't calm at all. Their ancestor was supposedly Wen Shenwansan, a very famous businessman who, despite being brought down many times, used his great business genius to firmly establish the Shin family. Although they weren't famous to the level of being on the Forbes list, those in the business all knew that the truly wealthy people didn't appear in Forbes anyway. The Shin family was one such family. The reason why the Shin family wasn't calm that particular day was because the leader of the Shin family, Shin Taigong, had died due to illness. According to the rules of the family, the next family leader would be the eldest son of the first wife. There should be no exceptions. Unless the eldest son died, this rule wouldn't change. The eldest son hadn't died yet, so there shouldn't be any discord normally, but the problem was that even though that generation's eldest son hadn't died, he wasn't too different from being dead. Shin Chuin had been in bed for half a year as a vegetable. The Shin family was a big family, and so, there was discord in the Shin family mansion over the position of family leader. Shinin was also from the Shin family. Shinin had come back from Hong Kong a while before already, but her auntie Chinkui hadn't come back with her after she got well. She had left Hong Kong alone, and even Shinin didn't know where she went, so she was a bit sad. The first thing she did when she got back to Jean City was to report to the family that her auntie had been cured, more precisely by a young man on the plane with runic paper. She told them to find this young man so that he could treat her big uncle. Some people did believe that Chinkui was cured at first, but when Shinin said that it was thanks to a young man using charms, no one bothered to talk to her anymore. If her condition had been cured, why didn't she come back to Jean City? They all thought that the reason why Shinin said that had to be because she wanted the family to send more money to treat Chinkui. Couldn't the girl come up with a better lie? Shinin finally went to find her father, but her father's words made her even more sad. He just told her to try not to get too close to Chinkui and reproached her for her spreading news that runic paper had cured Chinkui. Helplessly, Shinin could only find her cousin Shinfeiling to unfreeze the card, but now that Shinfeiling knew that the card was taken by a fraud, he didn't help her. Although it was only a few million, he still didn't want to give it to a fraud. Shinin was so desperate that she almost fought Shinfeiling, but the card still wasn't unfrozen in the end. The Shin family members didn't believe her, and no one cared about Auntie Chinkui. Shinin felt extremely disappointed, and she finally understood why Auntie Chinkui left the family and didn't want to come back. Meanwhile, Yemo sent Luoying to Ninghai, and Su Jinwen went to Beijing. Apparently it was her grandfather's birthday. When Tang Beiwei saw Luoying, she couldn't help but approve of her brother's eyes. Both of his wives were so pretty. However, she also couldn't help but worry about when the two would meet. How would her brother deal with it? At the same time, she felt bad for Su Jing when she was such an excellent girl, yet her brother wasn't interested in her. And the same was true for Sister Yun Bing, who often came to visit her. After Yemo sent Luoying to Ninghai, he made some arrangements and then went back to Jiutong. Although the golden page was important, it's not like he needed it right at that moment. He did need the 5-element rock immediately, though. Wu Jin Association was the biggest gang in Jiutang, but their operations weren't limited to Jiutang. They had branches in almost all of Hedong Province's cities. Blackhead was a part of that network, and his company was just a sub-company of Wu Jin Association. Blackhead had just wanted to use Shishio to earn some money. However, when the Wu Jin Association found out that Shishio had gone to help Li Chunxing, they told him they wanted to kill Shishio. Yet instead Blackhead was killed. Someone had dared kill Blackhead on their turf. This was outrageous. Wu Jin Association immediately used the most of their gangster-based information network and found out that the person who killed Blackhead came from Beijing and was someone with a license to kill. This made the boss of Wu Jin Association hesitant about getting revenge. If he really went and did something to this person, the government would end up chasing him down. No matter how strong they were just a gang in the end. Although they had a lot of powerful people in the gang, if something like that happened, they might not be able to help him. But if he didn't give revenge, they would lose their name, and it would be impossible to keep their strong solidarity. So, Xiong Qianni gathered all the higher-ups of the gang to have a meeting and discuss how they should get revenge. Brother Xiong, if young Master Hung wasn't injured, we wouldn't have been able to do anything, But since he's injured, I feel like we can do something. Who does that guy think he is, daring to injure young Master Hung? Someone commented. Xiong Qianni frowned and waved his hand. We will wait a while and see how young Master Heng deals with it. That man is someone with a license to kill after all, we need to be careful. Someone bring that small cop over. Xiong Qianni already knew that Dai Heng's caretaker had gone to meet the man but left quickly, and then Lu Lin and company all left Jiutang. Yet the man who killed Blackhead along with that beautiful woman was still in the hotel. It seems like that young kid has quite the background. Dai Heng's caretaker went today, yet he didn't take anyone away, which means they reached an agreement. Xiong Qianni thought for a bit and then said, Listen to my order. No one is to touch that person. Who was Dai Heng? That cocky to the extreme guy had easily killed a middle-level official. That's how powerful he was, and yet someone like him had his legs broken and still had to suck it up. Soon, the cop was brought over. He was covered in blood, and there was even blood on his head. Officer Liu, I'll give you one more chance. Tell me how that guy who killed Blackhead is called. What is his background? You might not be afraid of death, but what about your wife? Are you not worried about your wife? I can promise you here and now that if you tell me what that guy is called and what his background is, I won't touch your wife, Xiong Qianni said. Lu Jun knew that he was done for and that even if he answered Xiong Qianni, he would still be going to die. Just when Lu Jun was about to speak, a voice suddenly appeared in the room. My name is Yemo, and if you're that desperate to get to know me, I'm here. Luckily, it's not too late and everyone is here. Who are you? How did you get in? Xiong Qianni got up immediately and looked at Yemo in shock. I walked in. As he said that, Yemo kicked two hoodlums who had tried to subjugate him away. Xiong Qianni didn't bother with the two hoodlums, but his face changed drastically, and he asked in a shaky voice. Wait, your name is Yemo? Beijing Yi family's Yemo? Chapter 616 Speak. Chapter 616 Speak. Young Master Mo, we didn't mean to offend you. Why did you come all the way here? Xiong Qianni got up and said with a pale face. Everyone in the room looked at their big boss in shock. They didn't understand. Even if their boss saw the mayor, he wouldn't be like this. Who was that Yemo? Why had their fearless boss gotten so scared? Other people didn't know Yemo, but he had heard of him. They said that the Song family had faded away because of a certain Yemo, but what made Xiong Qianni fear him the most was that a cruel person had appeared at the Ghost City's hidden sex tournament, and his name was Yemo. Although he didn't have the right to go to the tournament, they said that Yemo was a killing machine. He even dared to fight the legendary hidden sections. Anyone who belonged to the hidden sects could kill whoever stood on their way easily. Yet Yemo could effortlessly beat the hidden sections. Xiong Qianni was an insect next to him. No wonder he dared to kill openly without concerns. Moreover, no wonder he had dared to break Dai Heng's leg, and he hadn't done anything about it. After thinking it through, Xiong Qianni's legs were shaking. Many years had passed since he had been that scared. Not even when he had faced his big boss for the first time as a small cloney, he had been that scared. Seeing Yemo approach him, Xiong Qianni no longer dared to stand in front of the seats and walked down quickly saying, Young Master Mo, please have a seat. Yemo sat on the head seat and scanned Xiong Qianni. I heard you're looking for me, right? Xiong Qianni's teeth clattered as he said, No, how dare I look for you? Young Master Mo, this is a mistake, just a mistake. Xiu is my friend, and I'm familiar with Lu Lin's family. Yet your association has been trying to do harm to them recently. Although he could deal with the problem by throwing some wind blades, Yemo didn't want to do that. No, that's a misunderstanding. I regret listening to young Master Heng. Although he knew he had offended Yemo because of this, he still had a sliver of hope of putting the blame on Dai Heng. Yemo knew that Dai Heng had ordered him to do it, but Xiong Qianni was no good person either. He looked at the policeman and said, Go back and get things ready. Call Li Chunxing, let him put you in charge of this case and get rid of Wu Jin Association's power in the province. Take this pill and go do this. Lu Juan was dazed for a while after hearing this. He was getting a promotion. With Li Chunxing by his side, what couldn't he do? He quickly took the pill and walked outside. Telling the police to investigate Wu Jin Association right at their base was more than a slap in the face. FCK. Who are you? You dare dash. Wu Jin Association was a big gang and there were quite a lot of people who weren't afraid of death. But the man who just spoke couldn't finish speaking. He was shot dead in the forehead by Emo. This is the last bullet. Emo looked at the gun and shook his head. This thing didn't need chi. It was quite convenient. Xiong Qian's expression kept changing. He knew that Emo was very strong, but it was too insulting. He had almost knelt down, yet Emo still told the police in his face to have the province committee annihilate their power. Should he keep enduring this? He had to. He knew how powerful someone who could beat the hidden sex was. F***CK, brothers, let's go and kill this bitch! Seeing that Emo was going to kill them all, Xiong Qian was scared, but there were some people who weren't. The vice leader had been unhappy with his ruling for a long time. It was his chance to bring Xiong Qian down. With his call, more than half of the 20 or so members pulled out their swords. Xiong Qian saw his men go up, but he didn't move nor stop them. He had the slight hope that he had heard wrong about Emo. Emo smiled and threw some wind blades. He really wasn't interested in fighting these people. In the blink of an eye, these men were all killed. Although there weren't any dismembered bodies, Emo's wind blades had aimed accurately into their hearts, causing a bloodbath. The air had the smell of blood. From the uproar to the massacre, there had been only a few seconds, and then everything turned calm. The remaining people's faces were pale. They usually saw a lot of blood, some had even killed before, but they'd never seen someone like Emo, just killing tens of people a hand wave. Xiong Qian got more frightened. He didn't think someone who cultivated ancient martial arts could reach such a superhuman level. What shook him the most was how calm Emo was when slaughtering the men. Then, scene fell into silence. Emo didn't talk either. He saw a fat man running inside with desperation. The man pushed open the door and before he noticed the situation, he said, "Brother Xiong, the higher-ups are sending people to investigate the Wu Jin Association, you dash." He finally realized that things weren't right. The floor was covered with dead bodies, and other than the man sitting at the top, everyone had a pale face and shaky legs. "What's going on?" The fat man stopped walking. He wanted to retreat. "Who are you? You came to notify the Wu Jin Association?" Emo glanced at the fat man. The fat man glanced at Xiong Qian, who was staring at the ground. He immediately knew things weren't going well. He saw the gun in Emo's hand and didn't dare retreat. He said loudly, "I'm the police chief of Jiutang, what's going on here?" Emo shook his head. If the fat man hadn't come, he really wouldn't have bothered going, but since he came, he didn't need to go at all. He would save some trouble for Li Chunxing, and without thinking, he threw a wind blade over. He knew that killing a police chief would bring some trouble to Li Chunxing, but the Dai and Chiu family were already concerned about Emo. If Li Chunxing still couldn't deal with it, there was no use in him staying in the political scene. He stared at Xiong Qian and asked, "You captured Lu Lin's family, right?" Seeing that Emo dared to even kill a police chief, Xiong Qian's heart went ice cold. He said shakily, "Yes, but we didn't treat them with disrespect." Emo continued asking, "She had some things in her house. Did you take them too? Where are they?" I don't know about this. Baoxing is the one responsible for these matters." Xiong Qian looked at his number one man. Baoxing was usually the one abusing people, but he finally got a taste of his own medicine. The only difference was that although he was scared, his eyes kept turning. There was a colorful stone. "Where is it? Speak!" When Emo claimed the last word, he slammed the table. Chapter 617 Chase. Chapter 617 Chase. "Yes, I'll speak. I threw away most things, but I did sell such a stone." Baoxing saw Emo's face turn very ugly, and immediately understood that Yemo was looking for that stone. He didn't dare hide anything. That stone was colorful and sometimes changed colors. I took it to Jim Banner and the boss there, Boss Luo, bought it for 8 million. What? Xiong Qianni didn't believe his ears. Even the association itself couldn't easily earn 8 million, yet his most loyal man had actually secretly sold that stone for that much. Xiong Qianni's face was getting worse, but he soon remembered the situation he was in. His life might be as good as over, why would he care about his men's loyalty? Yemo got up and said coldly to Baoxing, "Take me to that gem banner right now." Then he Xiong Qianni a cold look. Xiong Qianni's heart quenched. He was sure he was done for. The slaughter god in front of him gave him a look right before leaving. This meant he was going to die for sure. Thinking like that, Xiong Qianni took out a dagger and quickly cut 2 of his own fingers off. He originally wanted to cut off his whole wrist, but in the end couldn't do it. Yemo spoke calmly. "When that cop brings people to disassemble Wu Jin Association, you know what to do. If you don't want to cooperate, you can try and run, but I don't think you can run faster than Qianlong too. Young Master Mo, I wouldn't dare to. I will wait for Officer Lu to come, and I will cooperate with him to pull out Wu Jin Association from its roots." Xiong Qianni's face was pale because of the pain, but he didn't dare say no to Yemo. He knew that Yemo wasn't killing him only because he wanted him to help completely take out Wu Jin Association. Concerning Qianlong too, he had indeed heard that he had also died in Yemo's hands. Compared to Qianlong too, Xiong Qianni was worth less than his nail. As for Baoxing, he was very devious and had killed many people. Before joining Wu Jin Association, he once raped and killed 2 university girls, yet even though he had no significant background or money, he was still fine. From this, one could see the level of his cunning. Compared to Xiong Qianni, Baoxing was far better at scheming. In fact, ever since Baoxing joined Wu Jin Association, he had constantly been thinking about replacing Xiong Qianni. So after bringing Yemo to Gem Banner, he was thinking of how to escape. Should he cut his fingers like Xiong Qianni or something? As Baoxing brought Yemo to the door, Yemo stopped and looked at the confused Baoxing. "You've killed quite a lot, right?" Baoxing didn't expect Yemo to ask him such an irrelevant question. "No dash." His first reaction was to deny. "You can stay here and guard the door," Yemo said, but then he soon threw a backhanded wind blade before leaving. Baoxing clutched his throat and was in disbelief. Why did Yemo kill him at that time? Didn't he just want him to show him the way? Baoxing was unsatisfied, but he suddenly came to understand something as he fell over. Yemo had wanted to give him hope and then kill him immediately after. Yemo had wanted to torture him. A gust of hatred rose in his soul, and he cursed, even in death I will make sure you don't live well." Yemo knew that since this Gem Banner place had spent a few million to buy the stone, they knew the stone's worth. He might not be able to buy it back with money, but if he couldn't, he would just have to steal it. But he couldn't let Gem Banner know who he was. If they knew something about him that would make them suspect him, and they had his photo, that would be embarrassing. Before he entered Gem Banner, Yemo disguised himself as an ugly, bearded man. He even fabricated a knife scar on his face. He chose such a look to appear more threatening. Gem Banner was China's biggest organization for trading jade and antiques, and they had shops all over the world, so Yemo found it really quickly. "Is Boss Luo here?" Yemo asked while scanning the shop with his spirit sense. He had a bad feeling right after, because there was no colorful rock to be found. "Wait a moment, I will call him for you." As one girl saw Yemo's ferocious look, she immediately called Boss Luo. Not long after, an old man came in and asked, "Which friend is looking for me?" The man was in his 60s. "I am, because I have some private things to ask Boss Luo about," Yemo replied simply. "No problem, I'm Luo Yu. I'll tell you whatever I know." Luo Yu could also tell that Yemo was no good guy and tried to avoid offending him. So Yemo straight up asked, "Boss Luo, a few days ago Wu Jing Association's Baoxing apparently sold a colorful rock in this shop, is that the case?" Hearing this, Luo Yu's heart skipped. He had bought the stone from Baosheng rather cheaply, yet now after quite a few days, someone came looking for it. Seeing Luo Yu not speak, Yemo sneered. Baosheng stole something of mine, and I've dealt with him already, so don't try to play tricks with me, boss Luo. Or else, don't blame me for getting rough. Hearing this, Luo Yu's back went cold. He knew who Baosheng was all too clear, yet such a person had been dealt with by this bearded man? Although Gem Banner didn't have to be afraid of someone like him, they did proper business, so it really wouldn't be good to have this become an incident. The people nearby heard that Wu Jin Association was involved and quickly left. Luo Yu thought for a bit and started speaking. Gem Banner is an upright business, but friend, you're right, a few days ago I did indeed buy a colorful rock. However, we only care about the quality of the product, we don't care about its origin. Yemo sneered. Oh, if you don't care about the origin of things, that means your place is a good place for selling off dirty goods. Friend, you can't say that. Baosheng said that the rock had a clean origin, and of course we can't investigate that. Gem Banner is just a simple shop, we can't investigate every customer. If we did, there would be no need for us to think about doing business. Luo Yu was worried. If it wasn't for Yemo looking so ferocious, he wouldn't even have said that much. Yemo didn't want to waste time talking to this Luo Yu. He just had to know where it was. From Luo Yu's tone, it would seem the shop knew the value of the stone, so Yemo just had to find where it had been sent to and buy it as soon as possible, and if that wasn't possible, he would steal it. Thinking like this, Yemo just said, I don't want to have to say anything else. Just tell me where the stone is now. Hearing this, Luo Yu breathed a sigh of relief. It's been shipped to the Gem Banner in Jin City, and in a few days, it will appear in an auction as the final prod dash. Before Luo Yu could finish, Yemo had already disappeared. He needed to get to Jin City right away. If the 5-element rock was sold, how would he find it? He had to get it before it was sold. Chapter 618 Despair. Chapter 618 Despair. After leaving Jiutang, Yemo went to Jin City as soon as he could. The Gem Banner in Jin City was located in an antique store street. When Yemo got there, he almost thought he had come back to Luo Yu Continent's cultivation cities. The structures there were more and more ancient, and there were quite a lot of roadside stalls. He looked at this familiar yet unknown street, and lost his mind for a moment. Yemo found Gem Banner quickly. He had heard Boss Luo say that the boss' surname was Panxing. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, slightly fat. This shop was much bigger than the one in Jiutang, they had everything. Yemo scanned with his spirit sense carefully, but he was immediately disappointed. The 5-element rock wasn't in there either. Is Boss Pan here? I have to talk with him about business. Yemo went inside and asked. A bearded man with a ferocious-looking knife scar had come in yelling, and this immediately made everyone move away. Hello, sir, our boss is out for a business meeting. He will be back tomorrow afternoon. A young man in his 20s answered. He knew that kind of people could be looking for trouble, so it was best not to leave any excuse for them to start a fight. But Yemo wasn't looking for trouble. Even knowing that Panxing wasn't there, he had still asked. He was disappointed. He just had to know where the 5-element rock was. With his means, he could take it away easily. Seeing the ferocious man leave the establishment, the waiter breathed at ease. Although they had their own security guard, he didn't want the customer he was taking care of to get into a fight with the security. In his boredom, Yemo called Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue to tell them he was at Jin City. He would return in a while, so he then started to stroll around on the antique street. He was trying to decide whether he should find a place to stay for the night. He scanned his spirit sense and saw a large crowd huddling around a small square. It was a stone betting square, they were betting stone. Yemo wasn't interested in that after all. No matter how good the jade was, it wasn't anything to him. The money he would earn wouldn't be worth it. The only use Yemo could give to jade was to set formations, but the effects weren't that good either. Just when he was about to leave, he saw a familiar figure in a corner. Soon Yemo recognized that person. It was Sue. Why was she there? She looked very stressed and seemed to be crying. Had she lost a stone in a bet? Sue was a good person, and he owed her a favor. She had been looking after his silver heart grass for a long time, and she had stayed with Ning Qingxue for a long time. He was very grateful to her, so Yemo went to say hi. Hey, beautiful lady, why are you crying here by yourself? He wanted Sue to lighten up. Huh? Who are you? Sue looked at Yemo and quickly took a few steps back. Yemo subconsciously touched his face and smiled bitterly. Everyone stared at Yemo and then at Sue, and they assumed he had bad intentions. But people would rather avoid trouble, so they quickly left. Yemo smiled bitterly, walked up to Sue and whispered, Sue, I'm Yemo. I'm wearing a mask right now, the beard is fake. There were people hunting me, so I'm hiding. You are Yemo? Sue looked at Yemo in disbelief. He could only say, We lived together in that small house in Ninghai, did you forget? Ha, you really are Yemo. Sue finally believed him, she could recognize his voice. Yemo nodded. Why did you leave Ninghai? I didn't expect to see you here, did something happen to you? Sue suddenly started to cry again. She just wanted to go into Yemo's arms and weep. He looked awkwardly at everyone who looked at him in contempt. He could only say in a small voice, Don't cry, otherwise people will think I'm doing something to you. What is it? Tell me. Sue finally stopped crying and told him the reason. Her mother and brother were living in Jin City. Her mother had been staying at the hospital for more than a year, so she had no option but to give up her job at Ninghai and come take care of her mother. Her mother needed large amounts of money, and her brother needed money to study too. The family didn't have enough, so her father, and she had to work really hard in Jin City. However, her father's taxi was involved in a car accident, and her father was blamed. They were told to pay 80,000 as compensation. 80,000 wasn't enough for her mother's sickness, but the situation just got worse then. Her brother got into a fight with someone and beat them severely, and the person asked for 100,000 as compensation. Her brother was still at the police station while they spoke. Just when she didn't know what to do, her friend from college Xia Fangfang found her. They were pretty close, and in that moment of helplessness, her opinion was very important to Sue. Xia Fangfang suggested that Sue could go to bet stone to the antique street. If she bought a stone with good jade inside, she could become a billionaire. Sue listened to this, gathered all the money she had, around 120k, and followed Xia Fangfang to this place. Under the instructions of someone who her friend had introduced, her 120k were thrown into the water. In her despair, Sue was crying in the toilet when she heard Xia Fangfang's conversation with someone else. The person was telling Xia Fangfang that her classmate was too poor, and the money she had was too little, that it was a waste of her time. It was then when Sue realized that Xia Fangfang was conspiring with someone to cheat her. Sue was sad, she had nothing else left. She wanted to find Xia Fangfang, but she had been looking for a few days and she was nowhere to be seen. Her mother was running out of money at the hospital, and her brother was still counting on her for the bail money. Sue knew no one in Jin City and couldn't borrow from anyone either. In her sadness, she had only left to cry there. Yemo heard this and shook his head. She could even scam her friend, what else was she capable of doing? Xia Fangfang's character was undoubtedly a big load of trash. How much money do you have left? Yemo thought and asked. 200 left. Sue sniffed and said. He knew Sue was strong-willed and had great self-esteem, so he didn't want to lend her money. It would put a lot of pressure on her. Sue, if you trust me, take your 200 and come bet stone with me. Yemo smiled. He felt it wasn't easy to make that sullen girl go back to her happy self. Sue was the first person he had known here. She looked at him and said, Yemo, I only have 200. How could I bet? Yemo smiled. 200 means that there are 200 ways of betting. Follow me. Yemo took Sue into the crowd. He scanned their surroundings. The cheapest was $500, but they were all empty. Chapter 619, Betting on Garbage. Chapter 619, Betting on Garbage. Emo took Sue to a middle-aged man sitting on some rocks. Looking at his gambling addict look, Emo was speechless. No matter how rich you were, if you didn't know how to bet on these rocks, you would lose everything. Betting rocks was very exciting but also very brutally realistic. When you bet, everyone comes to watch you, but when you lose, no one pities you, and they just leave to watch the next person. When you win, however, people envy you. In fact, perhaps those people who bet rocks enjoy those envious and shocking looks the most. Emo walked over and patted the man's shoulder. "Friend, are these pebbles yours? Can you sell one to me?" The man looked at Emo in confusion. "These are waste rocks that I opened up. Why do you want them?" "If you want one, just take it." "Thank you, but I don't like taking people's things for free." "How about this? I'll buy one for $200. Then, Emo signaled Sue to give her last $200 to this man. In the eyes of this man, $200 wasn't even something he would bother picking up from the ground, but he understood that betting rocks always needed to involve an exchange. He didn't think much of it and nodded. Then, he stood up. "All right, I must try one last time. If I still lose, then I'll stop today." Emo picked up a pebble, which he had scanned before. There was some green jade inside, but it was small, and thus the man didn't find it. This sort of thing probably happened often. Unless you had spirit sense, you would never be able to find out. Seeing Emo buy a pebble for $200, everyone shook their head. If it wasn't for the fact that that middle-aged man was so well off, people would have thought that Emo was conspiring with that middle-aged man to trick Sue. Sue looked at Emo's stone worriedly. "Emo, is this stone useful?" "Of course, open it." Emo took the stone to the place meant for opening stones. "Who can help me open this stone?" Emo said, and everyone just looked at him. No one wanted to reply. Who would want to open a useless rock? There were certain customs to the gambling, one of which said that if you opened a rock and it contained jade, it made you lucky. However, Emo looked ferocious and didn't seem like a good person. What if he blamed the stone being empty on you? "Brother, you don't need to open this stone, there's nothing inside for sure. I, on the other hand, found a top grade ore this time for sure. It's black on the outside, there must be something good inside." "I just found it, watch me open it later," the middle-aged man said. Emo looked at the stone he was pointing at and knew it was an empty one again. He pointed at a fresh-looking rock and said, "You might as well buy that one, there's something inside there. The one you're pointing at is empty, and the other one is much cheaper too, being only $100K. The middle-aged man had helped him, so he helped him back. But as soon as Emo said this, there was ridicule all around. Even Sue pulled Emo back a bit. "Brother, are you okay? That one doesn't even have a shell, it's clearly a new rock. If it wasn't that it's so big, it wouldn't even be able to sell for $100K. Brother, you're even worse than me in looking at rocks." The middle-aged man shook his head. Emo smiled and didn't say anything else. He took out the $200 pebble and asked, "Who can help me open this? I will pay you $500. I'll do it, as long as you keep your word." A shabby-looking man walked over. No one was surprised when this man came out. Everyone there knew that he was called Audiobook. He was someone who opened rocks, but since he had never opened a rock with jade for anyone, he was clearly very shabby. Even the boss didn't want to really use him for opening rocks. There was a rule in the business that if you opened a rock and found jade, as the person who opened it, you would get a tip. Emo didn't care about the man's supposed lack of luck, but in order to definitely grasp this opportunity, Audiobook actually said, "Don't worry, my technique is top grade." Okay, open it then. "No need to ask me anything until you get all the jade out," Emo said. Audiobook took the rock from Emo's hand and immediately began to work, fearing that Emo would regret. Audiobook didn't fully realize what Emo's words implied, but everyone else did. This knife scar guy was pretty cruel, wasn't he? He was implying that Huiduokai had to keep opening up the rock until there was jade. But what if there was no jade? Some people wanted to remind Huiduokai, but looking at Yimo's ferocious look, they didn't want to get into trouble. Yimo, I don't have $500. Suwei pulled Yimo to the side. Don't worry, you don't need to, just deduct it from the jade's earnings, Yimo said. Huiduokai knew there was going to be nothing in the rock, so he cut right from the middle and didn't even bother cutting it carefully. Yimo shook his head. The guy had said his skills were top grade, yet this one slice had already cut a bit of the jade. Huh! It's green, bright green! It's good stuff. And Huiduokai cut a bit off, it's an ice-type jade. No one remembered they had laughed at Yimo before, as they were all just looking at the jade in Huiduotsai's hand. Huiduokai knew that due to his negligence, a bit of the jade had been cut off. He began to sweat. He didn't expect there to really be jade inside. What if the man asked him for compensation? Hurry up and cut it all out. If this happens again, I'll let someone else do it. Yimo saw that Huiduokai was dazed, so he reproached him. Yes. Boss, this won't happen again. Then, he began to carefully take out the jade. He didn't expect Yimo to be so easygoing, though. That had been completely his fault. Luckily, he reacted fast, and his skills were actually quite good. In a short while, he had completely cut out an ice jade. It really is ice jade. It's very high purity, and the green is very dense. A jade like that would be worth almost 200k. That middle-aged man also looked at Yimo in shock. Suddenly he felt that he should have listened to Yimo. If Yimo could find jade in his leftovers, he must be extremely capable. I'll take that jade, 200k, a woman said. This was a woman in her early 30s, and she looked not bad, mainly because she knew how to dress well. She looked very seductive, but in a high-class way. She also had a bodyguard by her side. Yemo frowned. He didn't like the smell of the woman. It was all chemical perfume. He didn't like that, he preferred the natural smell from Luoying and Ningqingxue. 200k? Su Wei was stunned. She had made 200k from $200. This was too easy. Yemo didn't know the worth of this jade and thought it should only be worth that much, so he tossed it to the woman. It's yours, cash or check will do. The woman had seen Yemo frown and thought he wasn't happy with the price. But just when she wanted to say something, Yemo tossed the jade to her, as though not even caring if it would break on the ground. Chapter 620, One Last. Chapter 620, One Last. Yemo, let's go, I already have 200k. I think I can bail my brother out of jail with this. Suwei didn't want to waste the money there. Yemo waved his hand. Wait, this is just the beginning. We need to keep going and buy some more expensive ones. Suwei hadn't realized that Yemo might be unsatisfied with just that. Brother, you probably want the rock you suggested me. Now, even the middle-aged man looked differently at Yemo. Yemo smiled and shook his head. That one isn't up to my standards. You dash. The man was at a loss for words. He had suggested him something that wasn't up to his own standard. Yemo patted him and smiled. Don't worry, I'm simply saying that the jade inside is worth at most 1 or 2 million. That's not enough for me. Huh! Everyone was dazed this time. He could get 1 or 2 million for 100k, but he still didn't think it was enough. Who did that guy think he was? If he hadn't found jade and discarded rocks, people would be looking down on him again. The woman heard Yemo's words and rolled her eyes. She suddenly said, Since Big Brother isn't satisfied with such a small amount of money, I'll take that rock. Then, she signaled the man next to her, who looked like her bodyguard, to buy the rock. Yemo's impression of the woman changed. She hadn't assumed he was bluffing like everyone else, and bought the one he suggested. She wasn't a simple person. Although 100k wasn't much, it was still money, but she actually spent it just because of a stranger's words. She had brains. A few other people were also interested in buying it, but they weren't as fast as the woman and also feared that Emo was a fraud. Emo then said to Huiduokai, "Follow me, I still have more jade for you to open." "Yes, boss." Huiduokai could also tell that Emo was someone who was truly capable. Looking around, Emo was speechless. Although there were a lot of rocks there, not many contained jade, and much less good quality jade. He pointed at a 200k piece of rock and said, "This one has the best jade for the price of 200k. He bought it quickly and the rock was in Huiduotsai's hand again. The middle-aged man lost again, so he started to believe in Yemo's words and he stopped buying rocks. He decided to follow Yemo instead. Many people started to look favorably at Yemo and all circulated around him. The woman was also watching them. Yemo saw that Huiduokai was cutting it very carefully, so he just drew a line and told him to cut from there. Huiduokai followed Yemo's words without hesitation and he sliced right where Yemo was pointing. A bright and eye-catching green was exposed to everyone's eyes. "Yellow-green! That's at least a few millions!" When it came out, everyone yelled out in shock. 5 million! I'll take it! People immediately started naming prices. Although the full price might not just be that, Yemo didn't want to keep wasting time. Just when he was about to sell it, the woman said, "I'll pay 8 million. Deal." Yemo immediately told Suwei to give her bank details to the woman. The woman was straightforward and transferred the money immediately. Suwei was in a daze, she had suddenly gotten 8 million. But Yemo pulled her away. "Are we leaving?" Suwei asked. Yemo smiled. "There's one more, after this we'll leave." Yemo looked at a huge rock on the left side, it was the size of a tall man. Its price was 6 million. While Yemo was buying this stone, the woman completely opened the rock Yemo had sold her. She had hit the jackpot, it was at least a few million. Moreover, the one Yemo had given her before had also been opened, it was a jade fetus worth almost 2 million. Everyone gasped for air. Who was that bearded man? How was he that powerful? He had a 100% success rate. Everyone was paying attention to the rock he had bought for 6 million. Also, that young woman had become the second person who had earned the most that day. Suwei had calmed down a bit, but her heart was still skipping fast. The stone Yemo had bought had been there for almost a year, but because it was too expensive, the boss had lowered it from 10 million to 8 million. Still, no one wanted it, so they lowered the price to 6 million. Finally, someone bought it this time, and it was a legendary rock gambler. More and more people gathered in the square. Among them there were many wealthy men and bosses. They had all heard that there was a legendary happening taking place there. A bearded man had taken a simply dressed girl to bet, and they hadn't lost once. They started with $200, and now their earnings were worth more than 10 millions now. Everyone was waiting to see if the rock contained jade. Everyone wanted to see if the legend would be even more incredible. Huiduokai was also shaking. He had never received that much attention. After this, even if he didn't get paid, there would be a lot of people asking him to open rocks. Under Yemo's guidance, Huiduokai cut the rock in the middle. The crowd was in a frenzy. It was as though the jade was theirs. There was a large piece of green where Huiduokai had cut open. The green was very pleasant to the eye. People had never seen such a luscious green before. It was almost crystal clear. One cut. It had been just one cut, and there it was, a large pack of green. There was no **T, no rubbing. The cut was incredibly clean. It was impossible for Huiduokai to not have become famous. "My God, is that emerald? If it's emerald, how much is this big piece worth?" But Yemo knew there wasn't much left underneath. He decided not to continue. If he sold it now, he could save money and get a good price. The woman looked at the emerald and gasped. She wanted to buy it, but she knew she didn't have enough money. Due to a limited resource of emerald lately, her finances were in a difficult situation. However, she believed that her business could open up soon with that bearded man's help. "Friend, I'll take it for 50 million. A man who had just gotten there named a price without thinking. "Boss Xing, you're taking for yourself such a good thing. I don't think that's appropriate. Another fat man squeezed through the crowd. Okay, old Pan, let's buy it half-half. Although he wanted it all for himself, that thing was too rare and everyone who was in the same industry there knew each other. He couldn't overstep the boundaries. Chapter 621, Fighting to be Friends. Chapter 621, Fighting to be Friends. 60 million. If you agree, it's yours. Oh, and give a 100K check to Waduokai, Emo said. Although the jade would be getting thinner as the rock was opened, it would still be worth around 70 to 80 million. He just didn't want to waste time. Waduokai was dazed. He only cut a few slices and got 100K, this was too simple. Deal! Once again, money was added to Suwei's bank account, and this time it was 60 million. When Emo pulled Suwei out from the crowd, Suwei finally reacted and wanted to give her card to Emo. Emo had earned that money, she couldn't take it. Even if she was short on money, she could just borrow some from Emo. Emo pushed the card back in her hands and said, Suwei, I'm clearly pretty capable, right? Suwei nodded without hesitation. Emo was like a god, he had won every single time. Seeing this, Emo smiled. With my capabilities, how could I be short on money? Why would I care about 60 million? To be honest, I'm richer than Bill Gates right now. I have tens of billions readily available. If it were before, Suwei would think that Emo was bluffing, but now she knew that Emo wasn't. Otherwise, how could he win 60 million for her in just 3 hours? But Suwei understood, but that amount of money was still too much for her. Don't have a mental burden. You paid for the bets, and I was just helping you. You've helped me a lot in Ninghai, so it's normal that I help you too. Emo comforted her. Suwei wasn't dumb. Since Emo was that rich, why did he go through the hassle to use her $200 to bet? He could easily give her tens of millions, but he didn't. He had done it like that precisely so that she wouldn't have a mental burden. Emo was about to ask about her mother when that middle-aged man ran over and gave Emo a golden name card. Brother, you're really amazing, my respect for you is . Emo shivered in cringe and quickly stopped the man from talking. He took the card and realized that the man was called Hudan, and he was the CEO of a company. No wonder he was so rich. Hudan. This name was really interesting. It sounded like protecting egg in Chinese. Suwei thought of something and said, Emo, can you come with me to the police station? My brother Su Bin Wu is still locked up, so I need to bail him out. Hudan quickly said, Is your brother in the city department, or some branch department? Also, why did he get locked up? He beat someone and didn't have the money to compensate them. He's locked up in the Yanhai branch. Suwei said. Don't worry, I'll make a call. Hudan immediately called the police chief of Yanhai department, and exchanged a few sentences with him before hanging up. He then looked at the worried Suwei. Your brother has been released. As for the compensation, I've told an old friend to help you pay for it, so don't worry. Huh? Suwei reacted quickly and was going to give the money to Hudan. Hudan waved his hand. It's just a small favor, don't worry about it. I didn't listen to your boyfriend before, and I lost indeed. It was my luck to meet someone like your boyfriend. Then, Hudan turned to Emo and asked, By the way, brother, do you have a business card? Suwei blushed and wanted to start explaining, but she didn't. She actually really wanted to know what Emo's situation was and whether he was with Ning Qingxue. Hudan was a bit desperate. He didn't want to pass by a master like Emo. Emo smiled. Sorry, brother Hu, I don't have a name card, but you can just call me Emo. I'll give you my number, but my phone is usually turned off. No problem, no problem. Hudan knew that someone as magical as this must have a lot of rules. It was already very lucky that he could get his number. Hudan quickly noted down the number and said, Brother Yi, how about eating together? It's my treat. Emo didn't mind as he didn't have anything else to do that day. Just when he wanted to ask Suwei, another voice interrupted. Brother Yi, I was hoping to talk to you. Luckily you haven't left yet. I remembered your number too, I hope you don't mind. I'm Luo Zillian, by the way, and thanks to you, I earned big today. Would I have the honor of eating with you? Then, Luo Zillian also passed a name card over. The name card was very exquisite. Sister Zillian, I've already invited Brother Yi, so how about next time? Hu Dan quickly said. Su Wei, what about you? Yemo looked at Su Wei. I want to go to the hospital to see my mother. I'm worried about her, Su Wei said. Hearing this, Hu Dan immediately said, Sister Su Wei, which hospital is your mother in? Tell me, I'll get a good room for her right away. Yamhai District's Kanghai Hospital. Su Wei answered subconsciously. Brother Hu, no need for you to call, I will take care of it. My uncle is the vice director of that hospital. Luo Zillian finally had the chance to show herself. How could she let Hu Dan take it? Thus, she quickly called before Hu Dan could even reply. After she spoke a few words, Su Wei's mother was sent to the VIP room. How about this? Brother Hu, you arrange a place and go there first, while I'll go with Su Wei to see her mother in the hospital first, and then come later. Yemo knew that Su Wei wouldn't feel assured without seeing her mother first. Okay, I'll wait for you in Tingwang restaurant. Hu Dan arranged the place before Luo Zillian this time. Luo Zillian rolled her eyes and could only ask for Su Wei's number. Hu Dan couldn't do this though, because if Su Wei was Yemo's girlfriend, that would be inappropriate. Yemo knew that Luo Zillian was no simple person. She had come over later not because she found him only then, but because she was making her bodyguard warn those hoodlums who wanted to follow Yemo. This Luo Zillian clearly had no simple origin, so those hoodlums didn't dare say anything and left. After the two left and fetched a taxi, Su Wei fell into silence and said, Yemo, thank you for today. Yemo smiled. I already said you don't need to be like that. I feel relieved that I saw you today. I said I would treat you to dinner in the past but never had the chance to. Su Wei suddenly felt lightened up and smiled. Then how about I treat you tomorrow? Like that you will owe me twice, and I will feel a sense of accomplishment that way. Yemo smiled. If nothing sudden happens, I will be leaving Jin City tomorrow. Do you miss Sister Qingxue? Su Wei suddenly asked. Yemo nodded. Yes, very, so I want to go back. Seeing Su Wei fall into silence, Yemo said, I'll go see your mother soon. I can cure most normal diseases. You do? Su Wei looked at Yemo in shock. Yemo nodded. Yes, that time when I was taking a shift for you, I cured an old man named Zhua. You've heard about that, right? What, that magical doctor was you? Back then, a magical doctor cured a patient in a lethal condition but was never found again. So that was Yemo. Su Wei got excited. If that had really been Yemo, then her mother would be cured. Of course it was me. Yemo thought of what he had done for mere tens of thousands of dollars and sighed. Stop the car! Su Wei suddenly told the driver to stop and charged out. Su Wei walked up to a bloodied youth, which Yemo guessed had to be her brother. Wasn't he just released? Why was he fighting again? Yemo left behind $100 and quickly followed. Su Wei saw that these men wouldn't let go of her brother, so she was about to reproach them when someone else said, Wei Qian, what do you mean? Yemo looked at the girl who had just spoken, and he happened to know her. It was that very annoying Xiao Yin from the plane. He had cured her mother, but she kept on saying he was a fraud. Did you hit Su Bin Wu? Wei Qian, how can you be so shameless? So what if I talk to my classmate? Who are you? Do you think I can't live without your little support? You piece of trash! Wei Qian was sworn speechless. But Xiaoyin wasn't done yet. She started calling the police. Xiaoyin! The young man's expression turned bad, but he didn't dare refute. He knew she was right. The Shin family could easily destroy a jewelry merchant's son. Don't call me that. The girl finished the call and then said to Su Bin Wu. Sorry, Su Bin Wu, I just wanted to help you. I didn't think you end up meeting scum like him. Oh, it's fine. Shinine, this is my sister Sue, and this is my sister's friend, Emo. Su Binwu pointed at them as he spoke. He was very uneasy in front of Shinine. Hearing this, Shinine started to study Emo without blinking. Sue and Su Binwu looked strangely at Shinine. Emo was very ferocious and ugly looking in that moment. How could Shinine be so interested in Emo? Su Binwu felt a bit bitter. He was much better than Emo in terms of age and looks. Why had Shinine noticed Emo as soon as she saw him? Are you really called Emo? Shinine suddenly asked after having studied him for a while. She looked at Emo's eyes, and then she suddenly seemed surprised and joyful. He realized that she must have recognized him, but she just wasn't too sure due to the difference in appearance. Although he didn't have a good impression of her, Emo still nodded but didn't say anything. Shinine's eyes made Sue feel uncomfortable. It was as though she was trying to take off Emo's clothes and see through him. Emo, Xiao Wu, let's go. I still need to go to the hospital to see my mom, Sue said. Su Binwu suddenly said, Sister, how is Mom doing? I was so worried. Seeing her brother's desperate eyes, she could only say, Xiao Wu, don't worry. Mom will be out of the hospital soon. Brother Yi will treat Mom. His medical skills are very good. Oh, so Brother Yi is a doctor. Su Binwu breathed at ease. He had thought his sister had had no choice but to find a sugar daddy. Hearing this, Xinyan's eyes brightened up. She walked to Emo and asked, Are you really a doctor? Emo sneered, but he still didn't say anything. My uncle has been in bed for half a year. I want you to have a look at him, magical Dr. Yi, Xinyan said hesitantly. Emo could tell what she meant, but a flash of disgust crossed his eyes. He waved his hand and said, Move aside, I don't want to cheat your family's money. How it really is you, magical Dr. Yi. I'm sorry, I was blind last time we met, and I suspected you were a fraud. Shinin held on to Yemo's leg and knelt down. Yemo pushed her away and said coldly, I'll repeat it again, your family's business has nothing to do with me. I won't help, no matter what you say. I don't need such a small amount of money from your family, and you wouldn't even be able to pay the medical bills. Everyone was shocked. They all knew that Shinin was from the Shin family, and no one would dare abuse the Shin family's people in Jin City. However, Shinin had knelt down to this man, and yet the man still had an indifferent expression. What shocked them the most was that the bearded man had said the Shin family couldn't pay for the medical bills. If the Shin family's was little money, then no one in the entire city was rich. The Shin family was one of the wealthiest families even in the whole country of China. What everyone didn't expect was that Shinin instead said, Sorry, Dr. Yi. I'm just grateful from the bottom of my heart that you saved my mom, Chinkei. I'm not asking you to treat my uncle. Her apology changed Yemo's view on her a little. Chapter 623, Horny Woman. Chapter 623, Horny Woman. Magical Dr. Yi, please forgive my insolence. If possible, I wish to treat you to dinner as thanks for my mother, Shinin said. Sometimes what you learned from books was incomparable to reality. When you thought you knew everything and were sure that everything outside of your sphere of knowledge couldn't possibly exist, you would think that magical things like Yemo's charms would be nothing but a joke. But once you truly experienced something like it, you would realize that the joke was on you. At least Shinin felt that her state of mind and way of thinking had changed a lot ever since coming back, and she was no longer superficial and so full of herself. A police car soon arrived, and a policeman greeted Shinin before taking away Wei Qian and his gang without hesitation. Yemo knew that Shinin's family was quite powerful, but no matter what, he didn't want to be involved with them. Sorry, I already have arrangements for tonight. I'm going to Tingwang restaurant. As for your gratitude, you've already paid me, so it doesn't matter. Yemo turned her offer down. Shinin heard this and desperately asked, Then how about tomorrow? Tomorrow won't work either, I'm leaving tomorrow. Let's go, Sue. Then Yemo turned around and left with Sue and Su Binwu. Shinin knew that people like Yemo were hard to meet, and it was already luck amongst luck that she could see him twice. She only had one chance, and she wasn't going to let it go. He said he would be at Tingwang restaurant, so she would wait at the door and just shamelessly join his company. Thinking about this, Shanine walked away with a hopeful face. Brother Yi, are you really a doctor? Su Bingwu still asked in disbelief. Who in the university didn't know about Xinyan's pride, yet she was that respectful to Yemo. Yemo must be a truly capable person. Yemo knew what Su Bingwu was thinking and smiled. Don't worry, even if I didn't cure your mother, your sister now has enough money to cure her. Hearing this, Su Bingwu looked at Su Wei. Su Wei could only say, Yemo is also a stone gambling master, and when he took me along, he won 6 million for me. What? 6 million? Su Bingwu was dumbfounded. With 6 million, every problem their family had would be solved. Tingwang restaurant, it was a rather luxurious place in Jin City. When Yemo arrived, it was already dark. Su Wei's mother had had a kidney failure due to long-term fatigue. Yemo only needed 2 pills to cure that. All her mother needed to do now was to rest for a while. Su Wei knew that Yemo would be busy in the evening, so she left him alone and stayed with her brother in the hospital. Yemo really was busy. Usually, he wouldn't want to waste time eating with merchants like Luo Zilian. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but that he wouldn't ever have any reason to interact with their lives. After this thing was over, he would probably go back to Luoyu to live there for a while and then go to the small world to find the bitter 10 years. With a place of his own, Yemo's only pursuit was to reach higher states of cultivation. The main reason why Yemo did come this evening was to ask them if they knew about the auction. If they did, he might find the 5-element rock that night. If they didn't, he would go find Pan Sheng. Not everyone would know about a high-level auction like this. The first person he saw at the door was actually Shanine. He immediately understood why she was there, but no matter what she had to say, he wouldn't help that easily. Magical Dr. Yi! Shanine quickly greeted. Yemo frowned. I'm not a doctor. I only treat people occasionally when I'm out of money. Brother Yi, I came to eat with you, so dash. Xinyan's face was blushing. She really was embarrassed. The young girl of the Shin family was shamelessly joining someone else for dinner. Yemo sighed. If he still didn't agree, that would be too cold, so he said, Okay, come up together with me then. Hearing this, Shanine immediately rejoiced. Thank you, Brother Yi, for giving me this chance. Right at that moment, 2 people came out and quickly greeted Yemo. Mr. Yi, it's really nice to see you. When Hu Dan saw Yemo, the joy on his face was genuine. Luo Zilian followed behind and was also happy with Yemo's arrival, but they soon saw that another girl had come with Yemo. Miss Shanine from the Shin family? Luo Zilian recognized her immediately. Yes, may I ask who you are? Shanine didn't know Luo Zilian. Luo Zilian quickly replied. I went to Elder Shin's 90th birthday 2 years ago, and I saw you there, but you might not have noticed me. Because Yemo was the main focus of this dinner, the people got along pretty well, but Luo Zilian moved closer to Yemo from time to time, which made Shanine very uncomfortable. She felt like the woman was like a horny cat. She looked like an astute woman who fully utilized her privileges. Shanine knew that Yemo wasn't some bearded tough guy and felt that if someone of Yemo's level was seduced to bed by Luo Zilian it would be desecration. But she couldn't really start doing the same as what Luo Zilian was doing or say anything to Yemo. This made her very anxious. Shanine didn't doubt that Luo Zilian would be able to seduce Yemo to bed. She had been in the Shin family for too long, and she knew that the relationships of wealthy men and women were very promiscuous. There was no such man who didn't cheat, especially when confronted with a very mature and seductive woman. Hu Dan also saw what was going on, and felt like he had made a wrong move. He should have gotten a beautiful girl to come too. Luo Zilian did indeed want to get Yemo to bed with her. She was an astute woman. Everyone had just brushed it off as Yemo being very capable during the day, but she had a different view. Chapter 624 Auction at Sea. Chapter 624 Auction at Sea. Yemo sneered. He of course knew what Luo Zilian was thinking. Although the dinner had just started, he already didn't want to continue. He said to Luo Zilian, "Thank you, CEO Luo, for getting rid of those hoodlums. It saved me from being robbed." Luo Zilian was shook. She didn't expect Yemo to have noticed that. She had underestimated him. She had been planning on taking the less subtle approach if he didn't comply and letting him know that she helped him send away a lot of those gangsters. If she hadn't, he wouldn't even be able to leave the city. But now it seemed that he was no simple person, and his tone was even a bit sardonic when he mentioned the hoodlums. One could see that he wouldn't have had to be scared even if she hadn't intervened. Yemo went on to ignore Luo Zilian and raised the cup to Hu Dan and said, "Brother Hu, I heard there's going to be a big auction in this city and that a colorful stone is to be sold. Is that the case?" Hu Dan toasted with Yemo and replied, "Was there such a thing? How come I don't know? CEO Luo, have you heard of it?" Hu Dan was also unhappy with Luo Zilian being so horny. No, I didn't know either." Luo Zilian returned to her senses, but her reply was rushed. Yemo's words had made her feel like she'd lost control of the situation. According to her plan, everything should have been under her control. When Yemo came, she would get Yemo drunk and take him to her place and suck him dry. Yemo's words, however, had made her lose control. Shanine said, "Brother Yi, it's usually my cousin who represents the Shin family to go to auctions. I can ask for you." Seeing Hu Dan and Luo Zilian not know about the auction, Yemo was disappointed. Theoretically, wealthy people like Hu Dan should be able to know about these high-level auctions, but even he didn't know. It would seem like this auction wasn't simple, or maybe that old man in Jiotang had been lying to him? Yemo nodded. "Please call your cousin right away then." If he had been lied to, he wouldn't mind going back and taking everything in Jiotang's gem banner. Shanine didn't call inside, she went outside to call. In the meantime, perhaps feeling a bit concerned, Luo Zilian didn't behave like before. Hu Dan said, "I've heard of Shin Yin's cousin. She's the eldest daughter of the Shin family, a business genius. That elder Shin loves her a lot, and she controls all the businesses of the Shin family. She could be said to be the most powerful person in the Shin family other than Elder Shin himself. Now that Elder Shin died, though, the Shin family members have started fighting, and they didn't let her keep controlling all those businesses." Luo Zilian intervened. "It's said that the eldest daughter of the Shin family is very ugly, but I don't know if that is true." Hu Dan laughed. "This might be just gossip, but it is true that 2 years ago, when the face-preserving pill appeared in Hong Kong, Elder Shin sent people to try to buy it, but they didn't succeed." At this moment, Shanine ran in and said, "Brother Yi, that auction you mentioned does exist. It's about to start right now. It's on a cruiser at sea. My cousin just sent me everything, and she is there, but I'm afraid you're out of time." Yemo was angry. That Luo Yu tricked him indeed. He misled him in terms of the date, and if he hadn't met Shanine, he would have been fooled. "Thank you, Shanine, I owe you one. I'll be leaving now, but I can help you with any one thing you want when I come back tomorrow. Thanks for the treat, Boss Hu. CEO Luo, see you next time." And Yemo had left. Yemo was very desperate. If the auction ended, he would probably not be able to find the 5-element rock again. The remaining 3 looked at each other. Shanine only then realized that Yemo had said he would help her with something and immediately felt like the world was great. Hu Dan was disappointed, but he was still happy to have met someone like Yemo. Luo Zilian felt the worst. She didn't accomplish even 1/10,000 of her goal, and she felt like hating Shanine with her whole heart, but Shanine was from the Shin family, and she couldn't mess with that. At this moment, on the international sea region near North Korea, a huge cruiser was slowly cruising. In the largest hall, a world-level auction was taking place. It was held by Hong Kong Auctions, the largest auction company in the world. They dared auction anything. The cheapest thing to have been sold there had a price tag of almost $1 million. This was a place for the rich. A place for the rich to burn money. You could sell anything there, as long as you could pay the auctioning price. Even if the item wasn't sold, you'd still need to pay the auctioning price. And if the item was sold, you'd have to pay a percentage on top of that. Their credibility was world-class though, and all you had to worry about was getting the invitation. Those who could be invited were all global elites, and some countries even came incognito, because the auction didn't allow the direct intervention of governments. If you disguised as some wealthy person, however, no one would care. Right at this moment, an ancient Egyptian curse ball was sold for $50 million. Usually the auction would proceed at a constant rapid pace, but at this moment, it was different. An old, white man was standing on the stage, about to say something. He scanned everyone and said, "Those who come to our auction are all global elites, and I believe that everyone knows the rules, yet someone still just sent a text message from the cruiser. Although our auction is open and just, we really don't want to see this happen again. You may contact people after the auction." "Well then, let the auction continue." Xin Qianqian subconsciously shivered. She knew of the rule, of course, but she also knew that this was her last time coming to the auction. Ever since Elder Shin passed away, she had been handing over everything under her control, and although she had been able to come that evening, she couldn't buy anything. One message was a warning, but the second time, the Shin family would never be allowed to come again. A blonde girl wearing revealing clothes carried a silver plate and went on stage. The auctioneer was also a white woman in her 30s with a good face who looked very formal. "The next item is a mystical goo bug from the Miao people of China. It's called a mind control goo, and it comes with some simple instructions. The starting bid is 30 million, and each increment must be no lesser than 1 million. 35 million. A screen was showing the bids. 40 million. 43 million. The price soon rose to 50 million. The final bid was 56 million. The winner was a man mostly covered with a black scarf, but the part of his face that was revealed showed a crater-like face. The blonde girl was shaking as she walked up to the man. The transaction process happened quickly. Then, another young girl wearing clothes on only 3 points of her body carried out a gold plate. Inside the plate was a jade box. Chapter 625 Borrowing Money. Chapter 625 Borrowing Money. The formally dressed woman held up the box and opened it before saying, "This is a milky white stone, and one can feel its spiritual properties when holding it. The Chinese call it a qi stone. It's very helpful for those cultivating ancient martial arts and mutant powers. If you don't cultivate, you can wear it, and it will make you very healthy." The stone emitted a faint white aura, showing its extraordinary properties. It was even prettier than white jade. "The starting bid is 50 million, and each increment must be no lower than 1 million. The scene fell into a brief silence. The rock looked good, but this price was too absurd. 50 million wasn't very much to a lot of the people there, but it was no small number either. Was it worth it buying a rock for that much money? But still, some people didn't mind. 100 million. Almost everyone looked at the man who made the bid. It was the same man who bought the goo bug. Looking at his bleak outlook, those around him didn't dare make a bid. He brought it to 100 million in one bid, implying that those who competed with him would be his enemy. No one here wanted to have enmity with such a scary man over a not that important rock. No one would dare hurt anyone during the auction, but that wasn't the case after the auction was over. 100 million going once! 100 million going twice. Is no one else going to bid? The auctioneer was helpless. The person who owned the rock told them it would sell for a heavenly price, yet it stopped at 100 million. But she couldn't say anything to the man. Everyone knew that he was threatening people, but he hadn't really said anything. "How much per increment again?" A voice suddenly appeared in the scene. Xin Qianqian just realized that there was suddenly a bearded man next to her with a knife scar on his face. That person was Yemo, of course. If it weren't for the faint spirit she emitted by the rock, he would have taken a while longer to find the place, so he felt lucky. He had been planning on finding the 5-element rock above everything, but now he had to get this spirit stone first no matter what. Everyone heard Yemo's voice appear suddenly, but no one thought that he would have just arrived, as that was impossible. 1 million, Shin replied. Oh, then I'll bid 110 million, Emo said. Hearing this, the woman smiled. Sir, please have a seat and use the device on your chair to make a bid. Noticing that Emo didn't speak English very well, Shin quickly said, There's an empty seat here. Sit down first and then you can use the device to make a bid. She didn't know how the bearded man had come in, but she had the ability to remember everyone who did, and she hadn't seen this big beard, so she thought, he couldn't have arrived only now, right? Emo felt a little awkward. He was too excited just then. He had come to look for the 5-element rock, but he found spirit stones as well. He was too lucky. Emo sat down and soon made his bid. He was competing with the bleak man for the spirit stone, so Yemo's actions caught everyone's attention. That man looked at Emo and sneered, bidding 120 million without hesitation. Emo wanted to keep making a bid, but Shin said, If that stone isn't extremely important to you, I suggest you don't make any more bids. That man isn't simple. Emo scanned Shin. She also wore a face mask, but Emo didn't even scan her face. His mind was on getting the spirit stone no matter how extraordinary that bleak man might be. 130 million. Emo's bid made people realize that this chi stone had to be very extraordinary after all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be two people spending that much money to fight over it. The bleak man stopped making bids for some reason. He just glanced coldly at Emo and kept his silence. The girl walked up to Emo and asked Emo to pay on the spot. Emo just realized that he had given his card away. He had 700 million in cash, but he couldn't just suddenly take out a large pile of cash. Everyone quickly noticed Emo's expression, and the bleak man sneered. You're not here to cause trouble, are you? You made a bid, but you don't have the money? HMPF. He knew that the auction holder would deal with Emo for sure. Even Shin looked worriedly at Emo. It could cost him his life if he was causing trouble there. There were guns everywhere. Emo looked awkwardly at the people around him. Who can lend me 130 million? I promise I will return it quickly. Emo didn't want to ask Suyuhua, because some governments knew their account, and if Suyuhua transferred the money, people would know that Luoyu had bought the spirit stone. This wasn't the most important thing. What was more important was that Luoyu was different from before. Luoyu's money belonged to national reserves, so it wouldn't be good for him to take out that money for private use. Emo's words made everyone silent. Then, quiet discussions started all around. If this happened elsewhere, perhaps it would be funny, but here, it would cost him his life. As soon as Emo said this, armored soldiers came into the scene. Although Emo could just take it and leave, that would be too embarrassing. That would simply be using his power to rob them. Everyone, including Shin, didn't want to lend Emo money. This was 100 million US dollars after all. Emo really didn't want to fight, as he still hadn't found the 5-element rock yet. He felt like Shin seemed easy to talk to, so he said to her, Miss, if you lend me 150 million, I promise I will pay you back 200 million. Seeing the genuine look in Emo's eyes, Shin explained nicely. I'm sorry, it's not that I don't want to lend you, but we've never met before, and I don't have much money. I need the money for pills, so I can't lend that to you now. She had only saved up around 200 million US dollars after so many years of hard work. How could she lend it away to some random bearded dude? Her words were clear, but Emo asked without thinking too much about it. What pills do you want? Perhaps I have some. Chapter 626, Target Found. Chapter 626, Target Found. I want a face-preserving pill. Shin sighed. She was prepared to leave. The reason why she had come was to try her luck and see if she could buy a face-preserving pill. Emo clapped. Perfect, I happen to have one. I'll give you the pill, and you help me pay that 130 million. You dash. Shin looked at Emo speechlessly. She didn't think there would be such a person. She might look soft on the outside, but she was pretty tough on the inside. Even though Yemo was like this, she still didn't want to curse him. She always tried not to offend anyone. The reason why Elder Shin had placed her as the controller of the Shin family businesses was partly due to her commercial capabilities, but mostly due to her ability to deal with people. But Yemo was being too oppressive. The people who heard this instantaneously started sneering. Who there wasn't an astute businessman who would believe such words? A very serious auction had become comical all of a sudden due to Yemo. Yemo took out a bottle with the face-preserving pill and gave it to Xin Qianqian. Take a look. If it's what you're looking for, lend the money to me. Xin Qianqian took the bottle helplessly, but before she could even open it, 6 men with guns walked up to Yemo. Sir, if you're not buying anything, please leave. This is not a place for you to cause trouble, the bulky man in the lead said as he grasped his gun tightly. From his tone, it would seem that if Yemo resisted even a little, he would open fire. Yemo sneered. How much time do I have after winning a bid to close the deal? 10 minutes, the girl holding the plate said in Chinese. Has it been 10 minutes already? Yemo asked coldly. No. Yemo slammed the table. Since it hasn't been 10 minutes yet, why are you coming at me with guns? Are you going to rob me? Can't you see I'm gathering funds? Gathering funds? Were you ever even planning on paying the money? You don't have any money on you and you're asking strangers for money. Do you think everyone except for you is an idiot? A yellow-skinned man spoke. At this moment, Xin Qianqian suddenly said shakily, I will pay for him. Then, she immediately started performing the transaction. Everyone looked at this comical scene in shock. That girl actually lent the man the money. Those men with guns saw that the money had been paid, so they could only leave. Yemo never intended on teaching them a lesson. With the spirit stone in hand, Yemo felt very happy. He would ask where it came from later. Is this really a face-preserving pill? After everyone left them alone, Xin Qianqian asked Yemo shakily. Of course, do you think I'm lying to you? Yemo took the spirit stone and commented. No, but my grandpa took me to try to buy this pill once, but at first we weren't even sure if the pill was real and we didn't have that much money at the time, so we didn't get it. But I've seen the pill since then, and it does look exactly like this. Xin Qianqian was trying to control her excitement. Yemo nodded and didn't speak any further. He scanned his spirit sense around and didn't find the 5-element rock. I don't have enough money right now, but can you sell me this pill? Don't worry, I'll pay you however much is needed, Xin Qianqian said. Yemo smiled. Xin Qianqian blushed. I'm from the Shin family in Jin City, so don't worry, I will definitely dash. Yemo stopped her mid-sentence. You're Xin Qianqian? Yemo immediately asked. Yes, I'm Xin Qianqian. Do you know me? Xin Qianqian had never seen Yemo before. Yemo shook his head and said, I don't know you, but I was eating with Shanine a moment ago when I heard that you were at the auction here, so I came. What? Xin Qianqian looked at Yemo as though he were a ghost. He had been eating with Xin Qianqian a moment ago and now he was here? They were at sea. Yemo touched his nose awkwardly. He realized he'd spilled the beans. He had been in Jin City just then, how could he have come to the cruiser so quickly? Yemo shut his mouth and didn't bother trying to explain. Xin Qianqian also gradually calmed down and didn't ask how Yemo got there. Although she didn't know how Yemo had come to the cruiser and gotten inside, she knew Yemo was no ordinary person. How do you know Shanine? Xin Qianqian asked after a while. Yemo breathed a sigh of relief. He'd feared that Xin Qianqian would ask him how he got there. This one time, I was on the plane from San Francisco to Hong Kong, and I met Shanine there when I helped her mom Qin Kei. Yemo said casually. What, you're that magical Dr. Yemo? Xin Qianqian got up subconsciously but quickly sat down upon remembering her surroundings. Yes, I am. Thank you for today. If you hadn't messaged Shanine, I wouldn't have known that the auction was here. Yemo had a good impression of her. She didn't ask what shouldn't be asked. Xing Qianqian came to understand why Yemo had something like the face-preserving pill. If he really could cure patients with charms like Shanine said, no wonder he had the pill. She had laughed it off when Shanine told her about him, but now that she saw Yemo combined with the information he'd accidentally spilled, she confirmed that Yemo was indeed no ordinary person. His face was most likely also a disguise, because it didn't fit Shen Yin's description. The auction went on, but Shanine noticed that Yemo had closed his eyes. He wasn't interested in anything else. She didn't disturb Yemo and carefully took the face-preserving pill. It melted instantaneously as cool streams started flowing across her body. Yemo noticed but didn't care. He had started searching every corner with his spirit sense. An hour later, Xing Qianqian felt like her face was crawling with ants. She carefully looked at Yemo before taking out a mirror and looked at herself. The large patches of red and black had become mere powder on her face. She wiped it, and it all came off immediately. A pristine face appeared on the surface of her mirror. Xing Qianqian couldn't help but tear up. For many years she hadn't dared show her face. Now, her face had finally gone back to what it was before she got injured. She had been working so hard to earn money for the family just so that she could cure her face, and now, like a dream, she had obtained the face-preserving pill. Xing Qianqian subconsciously looked at Yemo and was full of gratitude. She wiped her eyes and said, "Thank you, Dr. Yi." Yemo's eyes remained closed, but he suddenly smiled and waved his hand. "Congratulations on removing the poison and getting your looks back. No need to thank me, you properly paid for it. You know my appearance was caused by poison?" Xing Qianqian looked strangely at Yemo. Even Elder Shen hadn't figured it out. How did Yemo know? "Did you forget that I'm magical, Dr. Yi?" Yemo said casually, but his mood wasn't casual at all. He searched again and again, but there were no signs of the five-element rock. Ladies and gentlemen, the auction ends here, and our next stop is Chiozhou Island. I hope everyone had a good time. Yemo became completely disappointed when the auction ended. Just when everyone was leaving, Yemo's eyes were filled with joy and surprise as he stared at a man with a camera on his chest. Chapter 627 Kill All. Chapter 627 Kill All. Xing Qianqian saw that Yemo wasn't in a hurry to go out, so she didn't go yet either. However, when almost everyone had left, and she saw that Yemo still had no intentions to go, she said goodbye and left first. Yemo's spirit sense was locked onto that man. He had a camera hanging around his neck, but Yemo knew that the camera was hollow and had a small bag inside. His spirit sense couldn't see through it, but the bag covered something a bit larger than a fist. It wasn't the first time Yemo encountered things that could block spirit sense. The first time was that wooden cupboard in which the woman in the ghost building had been. And now, this camera also had a small wooden box inside. The man seemed to sense that someone was staring at him, as he looked around before going into the hall. Yemo took back his spirit sense, gasping at the man's accurate senses. Even Earth-level masters wouldn't be able to notice his spirit sense as long as it didn't cause large ripples. Of course, if there were large chi ripples, they were much easier to be noticed. The man who held the camera looked like an ordinary person, yet he had noticed his spirit sense. Although Yemo hadn't seen what was inside the box, he was 90% sure that it was the five-element rock. He didn't understand why the rock was in that person's hands without being auctioned, though. No matter what, that person wouldn't be able to keep it now that Yemo had found it. Thinking like this, Yemo got up and noticed only then that everyone had gone out already. He saw Xing Qianqian in front of him, so Yemo ran to catch up with her. Meanwhile, Xing Qianqian was stopped as soon as she walked out of the hall by that bleak man. "You're from the Shen family, aren't you? You're quite bold, daring to lend money to someone who wants to steal something that belongs to me. If I tell you that that man will die soon and that so will all of the Shen family, will you regret it? I heard you're ugly, but to me, as long as it's a woman, I can *CK to death. As for looks, I don't care." Every single word the man spoke made Xing Qianqian shiver. Even though there were people nearby, the bleak man had said everything without hesitation. Everyone who heard this moved away and didn't even dare look at him. You don't care, but I care. Look at your ugly face, even the maggots squirming in toilets are better looking than you. Are you trying to disgust me by standing here or something? Yemo's voice sounded. Everyone heard Yemo's words, but no one dared to laugh. If they offended this man, perhaps the next moment, they would be drowning in the sea. No one would care if you died on this ship. Shinqianqian was losing her mind. She had vaguely guessed who this person was by then, and was getting more and more worried. After Yemo's voice sounded, she hid behind Yemo without hesitation. The bleak man glared cruelly at Yemo. He didn't think there would really be people in this world who didn't fear death. He hadn't even gone looking for Yemo, yet Yemo came up to him first. Ha! The man laughed. I didn't think I, Yan Wuliang, would be so unknown when I have only been out for a couple of years. The man was laughing, but his face didn't wear a smile at all. He suddenly stopped and then said word by word. If I don't make you regret living in this world, I'm a dog. Yan Wuliang? Which bug are you? I've never heard of you, but please stop insulting dogs. Yemo sneered and then spoke to Shinqianqian. Go inside, I'm going to burn this bug. I'll ask you some questions later. Yemo didn't know Yan Wuliang, but that didn't mean other people didn't know. As those few people standing far away heard the name Yan Wuliang, they immediately ran as far as they could. Soon, the entire ship was discussing Yan Wuliang. He hailed from Miaojiang and had the nickname of Kill All. All those who offended him were killed, and he dealt with women all the more cruelly. If that man really was Yan Wuliang, then what he'd said to Shinqianqian was no lie. He never needed to commit the act of killing himself, as he had tens of types of goo bugs that could kill for him. The reason for his face being like a crater was apparently a goo bug rebelling against him. But then as well, he simply killed that goo bug. In many people's eyes, Yan Wuliang was a demon. Perhaps demons would be more good-hearted than him. People didn't even dare look at the people he'd killed. Shinqianqian heard Yemo's words and didn't dare stay there. When she heard the man confirm that he was Yan Wuliang, all the blood from her face went away. She subconsciously looked back at Yemo, but no longer had the courage to talk to him. Very well, you have balls! Yan Wuliang voiced an extremely angry snarl. He didn't expect this bearded man to remain so cocky even after he said his name. Even though this wasn't the right place to be fighting, he waved his hand and shot a few black rays at Yemo like lightning nonetheless. Meanwhile, 4 people were sitting in a luxurious room with a serious face. It was 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was less than 30 and had a clear face. She looked very academic. 2 of the 3 men looked Asian, while 1 was a short, black man. The person who had the camera was among them. We just confirmed that the person who bought the mind-controlling goo is Yan Wuliang from Miaojiang. He's talking to the bearded man about the chi stone as we speak, the woman said. Hearing this, one man asked, Sophia, have you found out who the man who bought the chi stone is? When did he even arrive? How come we have no data of him? Sophia replied, Not yet, but there's no recording on the cameras of the man entering the auction site. It's as though he just suddenly appeared, or he came in disguise. The auction party did say that 1 more person went out than the amount of people who came in. The man with the camera said, I don't think this man appeared out of nowhere. Was the surveillance camera tampered with? Let's not rush to conclusions first. Since that person spent a large sum buying our chi stone, he must be an ancient martial artist. If he's from some hidden sect, we can talk it out with him. The other man nodded. We need to talk for sure, but now that he's been targeted by Yan Wuliang, we don't know how this will end. Yan Wuliang's a madman, and we have important business this time, so we shouldn't mess with him for now. As for the bearded guy, he probably really did give the true face-preserving pill to Xing Yanyan. No ordinary person can take that out. Bobby, keep a close eye on that bearded man and Yan Wuliang. Yes, Captain Song Benlang. The short, black man replied and left the room. Then, the captain looked at the cameraman and asked, Cassie, did you really feel someone watching you before? Yes, definitely. I felt that person look very closely, like I was being seen through by him. I didn't dare stay outside, so I came in immediately, Cassie said worriedly. Song Benlang heard this and commented without thinking, Cassie, why don't you give the thing to Sophia and we let her put it inside her bra? We must keep the 5 colored rocks safe no matter what. Chapter 628, Mysterious Metal Card. Chapter 628, Mysterious Metal Card. Before the black rays reached Emo waved his hand, and sparks flickered. The black ray turned to dust immediately. Before Yen Wuliang could react, Emo formed a grabbing motion in midair, and his chi formed a claw, clenching Yen Wuliang's throat and dragging him to a distant corner. Yen Wuliang was scared **less. The bearded man clearly hadn't grabbed him, but he felt an invisible hand grab him by the neck. Was this the legendary chi materialization? Yen Wuliang's heart fell into a glacier thinking about it. Emo dumped him onto a metal board. Who are you? Yen Wuliang was no longer cocky like before. He asked that subconsciously, and as soon as he did, he realized how shaky his tone was. He had killed countless people in his life, but now that it was his turn, he feared death. Emo sneered. Weren't you going to kill me, huh? Now I'm here, so why are you asking me who I am? A mere yellow level dares be this cocky. Qianbei, I was blind, please have mercy, I'll do whatever you want, Yen Wuliang said without thinking. He didn't even dare look up. This bearded man could even see his power level, and he could materialize his chi. He had to be absurdly strong. Emo took out a chair from somewhere and sat down, then he took out the spirit stone and asked, Why did you want this? Wanbei should die. If I knew Qianbei wanted it, Wanbei don't talk garbage, I asked you why you wanted it. Emo yelled. He felt strange. When he first tossed Yen Wuliang away, he was very scared, but now he didn't seem as scared as before. Yen Wuliang replied, This is called a chi stone, and it has a very important use. When ancient martial artists are about to break through, they can shatter the stone and eat it to break through quickly without any side effects. Hearing this, Emo was very disappointed. He thought Yen Wuliang had fought over it because he knew what it was. But the guy didn't even know how to use it properly. Were spirit stones for eating? Have you ever seen one before? Emo asked. Yen Wuliang nodded. Yes, my master got one before, and he used it to reach the earth level. Where did your master get it from? Emo asked again. Yen Wuliang shook his head. That I don't know, but I can tell you where my master died, just please have mercy on me. Emo sneered. Have mercy? Easy for you to say. I didn't get anything at all after being threatened by you, and now you want me to forgive you? Qianbei, although you didn't get anything, I'm willing to give all my goo bugs to you, and I just got a mind control bug too. Before he finished, Emo stopped him. I'm not interested in your bugs. That's far from enough to save your life. Unexpectedly, Yen Wuliang laughed. Qianbei, Wanbei's Wan Gu sect has a cultivation method thanks to which I can use a secret way to become a ghoul if I die. You may not believe this, but I can swear it's the truth. Qianbei can kill me, but after I die and turn into a ghoul, I can bite back. Emo sneered. Is that your bargaining chip? That's far from enough to threaten me. I met a guy called Ren Sha in Hong Kong, he also kept goo, and he threatened me too. What a pity, I burned his soul. Now I meet someone else who threatens me again. It seems like your life ends here. I'll make sure to annihilate your soul too. Hearing this, Yen Wuliang's face changed drastically, and he asked worriedly, Qianbei, you killed Martial Brother Ren? Yen Wuliang knew Ren Sha too well. He was the genius of the Wan Gu sect. Although Ren Sha was his martial brother, he was much stronger than him. Yet, a genius like him died to this big beard and even his soul was annihilated. Yen Wuliang thought quickly and immediately knew that if what the bearded man said was true, then he might really be done for. Don't kill me, Qianbei, have mercy. My master had a lot of other treasures too. If you let me go, I can tell you everything. Yan Wuliang uttered worriedly. Yemo couldn't even be bothered to listen. He took out a lighter and pointed the fire at Yan Wuliang. Yan Wuliang was quickly enveloped in fire. Afterwards, Yemo turned around to see a short, black man run away quickly and thought, "There's quite a lot of small fries on this boat." Yan Wuliang was burning, and the goo bugs flew out of his body, but none could run away. It was just as he had said, though his soul didn't die immediately, and it looked at the fire in terror instead. Yemo sneered and turned Yan Wuliang's soul to dust with another fireball. Before it died, it still didn't believe how the big beard was able to see him. However, Yemo immediately noticed that there was something he hadn't burned away. Yemo picked it up, and it was a palm-sized metal card with some simple drawings on it. Yemo couldn't figure out what it was, but even metal should melt under his fireball. This metal card had stayed fine and cool. Yemo couldn't tell what it was made of, so he put it away for later research. The dust at the scene was blown away by the sea wind as though nothing had happened. That short, black man who had been watching him had never cultivated before, but he sure was quick on his feet. Yemo didn't go find him immediately. He had more important things to do. He was going to find that camera guy and get the 5-element rock. Xin Qianqian had taken a shower and changed into a new pair of clothes. Although she still wore a veil on her face, she felt very different. If it wasn't for Yan Wuliang, she would be singing from joy. But due to that terrifying man, she was waiting for Yemo anxiously instead. She was even thinking, if Yemo got killed by Yan Wuliang, what would the Shen family do? But then she thought, since Yemo was able to come here all the way from Jin City that quickly, he is definitely powerful. When she then saw Yemo walk over slowly, she finally relaxed. Brother Yi, thank you for today. When we arrive at Qizhou Island, I can take you around. There are many fun places to go. Now let me treat you to a drink. Xin Qianqian didn't even mention Yan Wuliang, and her tone was very relaxed. This was her first time asking a guy out to play. But Yemo wasn't in the mood to be drinking with her, so he smiled. It was no big deal, and I still have some things to do, so. Yemo had been wanting to find that camera guy and had searched the entire cruiser, but when he finally found him, his heart sunk. The camera wasn't on him. Yemo did find the camera in some room a moment later, but there were nothing inside. Meanwhile, that camera guy was gambling. Chapter 629, Unexpected Outcome. Chapter 629, Unexpected Outcome. By the way, come gamble with me for a bit. Yemo pulled Xin Qianqian into the casino. Xin Qianqian didn't expect Yemo would have such a hobby. To be honest, she really hated those who gambled. No matter how wealthy you were, if you loved gambling, you would lose it all, but since Yemo wanted to gamble, she could only follow. Yemo had become more careful after the camera disappeared from under his eyes. He wouldn't be as obvious around the gambling man as he had been with Xin Qianqian just then. He didn't want to startle them and lose the 5-element rock. If he could be noticed once, it could happen twice. He couldn't keep his spirit sense spread out constantly, but he could make it so that he would notice it if someone left. Yemo had pulled Xin Qianqian along to borrow her card. After he gave his card to Sister Yin, he hadn't gotten a new account yet. How much money do you have on your card? Yemo asked Xin Qianqian. As Xin Qianqian heard this, she confirmed that Yemo had no money, but she still owed Yemo money for the pill, so she would give him all the money she had on her if Yemo needed it. Thinking about this, she said, I have 50 million left. Then go buy 5-10 million chips. The smallest chip was 1,000 USD, while the highest was 10 million. If Yemo lost 5 times, he would have lost everything. Xin Qianqian wanted to remind Yemo, but thinking about the money as being all his, she couldn't control him. Although there were a lot of people at the casino, there weren't many sitting at the VIP tables. Most were sitting on the outside and didn't bet that big. Yemo saw the camera guy sitting at the innermost VIP table, and he seemed to be the croupier. Unlike in other casinos, you only needed to pay to play here, and the customers could be the croupiers themselves. Yemo wanted to make contact with that man, so he had to bet with him first. After he won all his money, he would talk to him. Once again, Yemo searched the ship carefully with his spirit sense but still didn't find anything. Right when Shinqianqian came back with 5 chips, she saw Yemo frown up before he could even take the chips. "What's wrong?" Shinqianqian asked. Yemo saw that the man he wanted to approach was leaving his seat and went to the bar not far away. Yemo coughed and said, "You go bet at the innermost table, I'm going to the bathroom." Shinqianqian looked at Yemo speechlessly and could only come to the table herself. She couldn't follow Yemo to the bathroom, could she? Although she went to the table, Shinqianqian did keep her eyes on Yemo and noticed that he wasn't going to the bathroom. Instead, he went to the bar. That man ordered a glass of red wine and started chatting with the waitress. Soon, Yemo noticed that the man had already glanced twice at a woman sitting in one corner. The girl looked very academic and had a cup of juice in front of her. The girl looked a little shy and seemed like the well-educated type. Accompanied with her sturdy and busted chest, she would make people want to do anything for her. So he came to chat up girls? That's what Yemo thought, so he walked up to that girl without hesitation. At the same time, he kept his spirit sense on the man. The man was dazed but immediately returned to normal and casually chatted with the waitress, but Yemo knew that he had looked at him more than once. The girl saw Yemo walk up to her and sat down. She was dazed and said in a soft and slow voice, "Sir Dash." Yemo smiled. "Beautiful lady, thank you for calling me sir. Although I look a bit rough, I actually am indeed a very gentle man. I saw you sit here all by yourself, so I came to drink with you. You wouldn't mind, right? Why would I? Please have a seat." The girl blushed and was seemingly at a loss about where to place her hands, but there was a small smile on her face. Yemo laughed to himself. This girl was interesting. She blushed from talking to strangers. What Yemo wanted was for the man at the bar to come up to him and save the girl. Then he would be able to look for trouble with the man without his friends suspecting him. And thus Yemo closed in on the girl and suddenly grabbed her hand. "Let me start the introductions. My name is Emoing. What is yours?" "Ah." The girl seemed startled by Yemo and quickly wanted to pull back her hand, but Yemo didn't let go. He kept his spirit sense on the man at the bar. But for some reason, the man didn't come. Had he misjudged something? Yemo let go of the girl's hand and sat down in disappointment. Seeing this, the girl quickly said, My name is Sally. Sorry, but I don't really like doing that with strangers." Yemo smiled and waved his hand. "No problem, I just like being straightforward. If there's a girl I like, I will chase after her, and unless dash." Yemo wanted to say I won't leave unless I get the girl, but he suddenly paused. He thought something wasn't right. This girl was already blushing after exchanging only one sentence with him. She clearly appeared very conservative. But when he'd held her hand, she had only blushed and hadn't had any other signs. Her pulse and heartbeat should have risen, but that didn't happen. This girl was problematic. Her blushing was fake. Thinking about this, Yemo sat down and grabbed her hand again, smiling. "So, unless I get the girl, I won't stop." At the same time, Yemo scanned the girl's body. Usually he didn't do that, but now that it was necessary, he did. Yemo scanned her body but never scanned below her waist, because he didn't need to. He had found the box again. It was in this girl's bra. Yemo wanted to laugh. He finally found it. No wonder that man kept looking over. They were conspirators. He wondered if that short, black man was with them too. Yemo's spirit sense noticed another thing. The girl also had a Black Sun badge in her bra which belonged to the Black Sun Empire. So it was an old enemy. Yemo sneered. Seeing the girl silently pull her hand away, he scanned the man too, and the man also had a Black Sun Empire badge. Furthermore, Yemo noticed small black dots in each of their ears. Those had to be communication devices. "Don't do this! I'm leaving." The girl pulled her hand away and wanted to get up to leave. How could Yemo let her go just like that? Yemo would have taken the box out already if he wanted to, but he now wanted to put a spirit sense mark onto it to see where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was. Sorry, I just like you too much. If you don't mind, give me the honor of one hug, and I will leave immediately. Yemo suddenly got up and said seriously. Yemo was sure she wouldn't reject that request. Chapter 630, Not Impossible. Chapter 630, Not impossible. As Yemo expected, that academic-looking girl had a look of struggle in her eyes but eventually just looked down and didn't say anything. Yemo smiled and walked to her side, but before he even hugged her, she put one arm in front of her chest. Other people would think that she was protecting her chest, but both Yemo and her knew fully well that she was protecting what was hidden in her brow. Yemo grabbed the arm in front of her chest and lifted it up a little, just enough to block her vision, before saying, "Why are you so nervous? I just wanted a quick hug." Yemo wasn't interested in hugging that type of woman. He just acted as though he did and took the thing out as quickly as he could. Then, he also put a spirit sense marked piece of gold inside. It was the 5-element rock indeed. Yemo was very excited. He dumped the rock in his ring and was no longer in the mood to talk to the woman. With his spirit sense mark in her, she wouldn't be able to escape. Seeing Yemo move aside without really hugging her like he said, the girl felt strange and looked up at Yemo in confusion. Yemo smiled. "I like people with initiative. With those who aren't willing, I won't force it. Since you don't like me, then never mind. I'll be in the casino, so if you want to come find me, you can come over at any time." Then Yemo left. The woman looked on as Yemo left. Her face kept changing before she finally felt her chest and saw that the thing was still there. Then she left. As the man Yemo cared about saw Yemo and the girl leave, he also got up and followed Yemo. Even though Yemo had left, he kept his spirit sense on that woman. He knew that the woman would meet up with her friends soon. What was left for him to do now that he had the 5-element rock was pretty easy. When Yemo came to the casino, he saw Xinqianqian sitting pitifully in a corner with only one chip in her hand. There had only been 6 people at the table before, but now there were 13. "Why aren't you betting anymore?" Yemo asked. Xinqianqian said speechlessly. "If you still hadn't come, I would have changed the chip back to money. This is my last 10 million. If I lose it, I won't have anything on me except for some small change. You lost 40 million in one go? Also, don't tell me you only have this card?" Yemo was surprised to see Xinqianqian's talent for gambling. Xinqianqian shook her head. "I didn't lose it in one go, it was in 4 goes. Yemo was speechless. Was there a difference? Seeing Yemo's silence, Xinqianqian spoke again. "I can really only use this card, and that's only because I opened it in Switzerland myself. My cards in China never mind that." At that moment, the man following Yemo also came to that table. He didn't seem to pay any heed to Yemo, and just squeezed in. The dealer saw the man come over and quickly moved aside, giving him his position. So there together, Yemo thought and scanned to see the man had a Black Sun Empire emblem. Yemo sneered. "Give me the chip, I will bet." Yemo took the chip from Xinqianqian. Xinqianqian hesitated before saying, "I only have this chip left, how about we switch it to 10 chips of 1 million? She was scared that Yemo would lose it all in one go, and if Yemo really had no money on him like he said, then it wouldn't be good when they got to the island and she didn't have anything either. "No need, what are the rules here?" Yemo asked. Xinqianqian saw people come over and quickly said, "You bet on small or big, not on a specific number, so the odds are 1 to 2. However, if you bet on the tiger, you lose almost for sure. Only throwing 18 counts as a tiger. The other tigers aren't admitted here." Yemo saw the man with 3 dice and didn't expect that the odds of losing a bet on tiger would be so high. Conversely, it now seemed that he would only need to bet once. The man picked up the black dice and put them in the cup. Many people started to focus their ears, But Yemo didn't mind that and said to Xinqianqian, "Don't worry, I'll just bet this once." Xinqianqian sighed, thinking, "You only have one chip, even if you wanted to bet more, you would need more money first." Suddenly, the man put the cup on the table. Many people started to place bets, and soon there were tens of millions on the table. Yemo took out the 10 million chip and put it on the tiger. Yemo's actions shocked Xinqianqian. She quickly pulled Yemo back. "I've never seen a single tiger come out, you dash, haha, I know. But since I said that I'm only betting once and since the tiger has the highest reward, I want to go for it and try to win as much as possible." As soon as Yemo said this, the people around him were speechless. The dealer stayed calm. He didn't believe anyone could cheat under such circumstances. Although no one said anything because they didn't want to offend Yemo, many people did laugh at his insolence. However, the few people who knew that Yemo had gone out with Yen Wuliang yet had still been able to come back fine knew that he was no simple character. "Never mind, do as you wish. The money is yours anyway," Xinqianqian uttered speechlessly. Yemo smiled and didn't say anything. He could see that it was an 8 inside the cup and that the 3 dice were stacked on top of each other, but to Yemo it was all too easy to make it 3 sixes. In order to ensure fairness, usually, a third party would remove the cup, and they wouldn't be allowed to use their hand. The bets were made, and the cup was about to be removed as the dealer smiled. He wasn't afraid of Yemo leaving. Once you were in the casino, if you had money, you would want to continue if you lost. It was addictive. The dealer knew what the result of his shake was: 1 6 and 2 1s. The 6 was on the very top and the dice below were the 1s. Chapter 631, Xinqianqian's Plans. Chapter 631, Xinqianqian's Plans. The dealer's face looked really bad, but he recovered quickly. He gave the dice to his partner and left. Yemo knew that he must have been signaled to leave. Xinqianqian grabbed the large pile of chips and put them on her plate. She looked at Yemo and asked, "Should we keep playing?" Yemo smiled. "No need, let's leave." He wasn't there for gambling. He was there for the Black Sun people. Since those guys were leaving, he didn't need to stay. Yemo scanned around with his spirit sense and noticed that the woman and short, black guy as well as another man were gathered in one room. He wanted to go listen to what they were up to and find out what use the 5-element rock had for them. Seeing Yemo and Xinqianqian leave, everyone looked on with envy. Winning 500 million in one go was absurd. "Go exchange the chips, I'm going to sleep for a while." Yemo noticed that the place the dealer went to was where the 3 gathered. He wanted to check it out right away. "Wait, after I exchange the chips, I'll give you the card, and then you can leave." Xinqianqian stopped Yemo. She was worried about exchanging a few 100 million by herself. After all, no one was easy to deal with on that ship, and the money was Yemo's. Xinqianqian knew that most of the people on board were no strangers to shady business. How else could they earn so much? "Okay, but Miss Shen, I have a question I need to ask you. Most of the people on the ship have at least some bodyguards, so why don't you?" Xinqianqian was an easy target, yet she was by herself. Xinqianqian fell silent and didn't answer. She exchanged the chips and then gave the card to Yemo. "This is yours, the password dash." Yemo waved his hand. "I don't need it. I said the price of the pill was 130 million, so I won't take a cent extra. As for the gamble, the starting money was yours, so the money we won is yours too. You can just go back and rest." Xinqianqian hesitated and took the card. "Okay, I'll take the money then. But Brother Yi, do you have time now? If you don't have any plans, come drink with me for a bit. And if you're tired, you can rest in my room." It seemed that she had figured out that Yemo had no place to sleep. Before Yemo could decline, Xinqianqian smiled again. "Don't tell me you don't have time. When you came to the casino part just then, I smelled perfume on you. You probably came from the bar, right? If you can accompany women who are strangers, then since we already know each other, you have to treat me the same." Yemo scanned that room again, and the 4 were still gathered together. Since they were there was no rush. They couldn't leave anyway. Thinking like that, he nodded. Okay, let's grab a drink first then. What happened? Why did you call me over so desperately? The dealer asked. Cassie, our higher-ups have ordered us to leave immediately. Seeing the man come in, Song Benlang got up immediately. Cassie frowned. Why? That guy just won $500 million from us. It would be too easy on him to just let him leave. Moreover, we haven't even found out who he is yet. I was planning on doing that now. Song Benlang shook his head. There's no need to investigate him. He's not someone we can deal with. According to our intel and his performance at the casino, the higher-ups have determined him to be the person who stole our gold and most of our scientists on Black Star Island. How can that be? Cassie was shocked. Sophia said slowly. It's not impossible. Actually, we're certain it's him. Xing Qianqian might have had her face destroyed, but her body is still better than mine. And if she indeed managed to buy the face-preserving pill back then at the auction, then her face should have recovered by now. Yet still, that big beard didn't do anything to her. Instead, he supposedly wanted to chat me up. He gave me a very dangerous feeling. I think he's already suspecting me. He even wanted to hug me, but luckily he didn't in the end. Did you lose the thing? Cassie lost his mind. 500 million wasn't that significant, but if they lost the 5-element rock, that would be a huge problem. Sophia shook her head. No, it's still there, but I just feel like he's dangerous. Also, we have checked the recordings repeatedly, and that big beard wasn't present when everyone boarded the ship, yet he suddenly appeared in the auction room. That sounds just like the events at our gold vault. The two cases were really similar. Plus, how did the 3 dice turn into all 6 yes? He didn't touch anything but still turned the dices to win a tiger. This man is too dangerous. Sophia is right, this man is too dangerous. Although we don't know how he did it, but he's got capabilities that exceed what we can deal with. Luckily, we didn't lose the 5-element rock. The higher-ups did tell us to leave immediately, though, so someone else will be dealing with him. Song Benlang said. The black man suddenly said. Yes, I suspect he even saw me when I was spying on him. He burned Yen Wuliang away with just a ball of fire. This man is very scary. Yemo kept scanning them with his spirit sense, and found that they were still discussing something, so he didn't mind. As long as they didn't leave more than 1 kilometer from him, they wouldn't be able to get away. Furthermore, he had marked that woman especially, allowing him to sense her from up to 10 kilometers away. Xing Qianqian poured a cup for Yemo, but she drank 3 cups herself before putting her cup down and saying, Before meeting you today, I didn't even know what I would be doing in the future. I was lost, and the reason why I could even come today was because the Shen family had one spot, so they sent me just to show that the Shen family still existed. Then she laughed at herself and drank another cup. If I told you I didn't bring any money to this auction, you wouldn't believe it. But that is the reality of it. That 180 million was all my private money that I managed to set aside over the course of all these years. The Shen family sent me over without even a bodyguard and froze all my cards in China. It seemed like the Shen family no longer needed Xing Qianqian for their businesses. Xing Qianqian sneered. Brother Yi, when Auntie Qingkui asked you to cure her last time, she also used her own money. But even then, the card she gave you was still frozen by the Shen family. Then, Shinin asked many times for them to unfreeze it, but even though it was just some small money, the Shen family didn't want to give it to you. Auntie Qingkui saw through the Shen family, and because of it didn't even return. Yemo was speechless. He didn't think that the card he got last time would actually have been frozen. No wonder Shinin always looked guilty. On account of it being thanks to her that he found the location of the auction, he wouldn't mind. I like the feeling of managing businesses. I can only feel the value of my existence if I keep earning money. And Grandpa also said that he saw that I had only the businesses in mind, so he let me manage the Shen family. 60% of the Shen family's businesses were controlled by me. But how do they treat me now? I'm a Shen family member, yet my card was frozen. Luckily, I had some private money or I would have had nowhere to even cry. Xinqianqian drank again, her eyes dulled. I've just been a money-making machine for the Shen family all these years, and when I have no worth, they just kick me away. Yemo, magical Yoctor Yi, no brother Yi, luckily I met you. I'm very lucky, this is enough for me. Yemo thought, doesn't Luo Yu lack a true business person? Xinqianqian was a prodigy. The Shen family might be blind, but he could invite Xinqianqian to Luo Yu thanks to that. Thinking like that, Yemo wanted to speak his mind, but then he heard a voice through the speakers. Dear passengers and friends, we have arrived at Qizhou Island. Yemo was shook as he realized it was already day. He scanned that room with his spirit sense, and found that the four were gone. The ship hadn't even docked yet. How had they left? Yemo got up immediately and sent his spirit sense out, while Xinqianqian was laying flat on the table. I believe this has nothing to do with Sophia. We've known her for so many years. She wouldn't do it, and even if she did, she wouldn't come back here. If I'm not wrong, it should be that big beard. He's too unmeasurable. Unexpectedly, it was Bobby, who rarely spoke, who helped her out. Sophia looked at him with gratitude. Cassie had a look of guilt for a moment, but then he immediately said, although we know Sophia wouldn't do this, the package was on her when it was stolen. I don't need to mention how hard it would be to switch it around, right? So even if we believe her, what about our higher-ups? Cassie, what do you mean? Sophia knew that Cassie wanted to put the blame on her. She immediately rebuked. This thing was always on you before I got it. When you took it out, no one saw it. Who knows if it was switched out already or not? Song Benlang and Bobby fell into silence. Sophia was right. Who knew if it was lost before or after Sophia got it? Cassie saw that everyone was about to suspect him, so he immediately argued. Back at the bar, when Big Beard and Sophia were being intimate, perhaps that's when it was lost. Sophia retorted. Cassie, do you think it's possible to win a tiger without touching the table? To be honest, who has the most chances of making it a tiger? If I was the dealer, I could do it easily. Cassie was annoyed and sneered. You're saying I'm conspiring with him? I've been in the organization for so many years I would dash. Song Benlang stopped him. Okay, there's no point arguing here. If I'm not wrong, there must be something special about this gold. Perhaps he can even track us through it or something. We need to leave this place first. I believe the authorities will investigate this. Sophia and Cassie's hearts fell. Song Benlang didn't mention whose fault it was anymore, but they knew the organization all too well. Even though they clearly knew that they didn't do it, they would be heavily interrogated as long as there was so much as a sliver of doubt. Captain, what do we do now? Bobby spoke. Song Benlang took out a black rubber-like thing and put it on the gold. Then he gave the gold to them. I added a missile emitter onto this. I'll go give it to someone else and tell them to drive away in the opposite direction from us. Song Benlang walked out of the bar and came back after a short while saying, Let's go now. Split up. I've given the frequency to our higher-ups, so as long as Big Beard follows the gold, there will be someone to deal with him. Then where do we rendezvous? Bobby asked. Nanji 123 Hotel, Song Benlang said and left. He didn't walk out far but dashed into a nearby supermarket and watched the bar from the glass door it had. The second to come out was Bobby. He called a taxi and headed towards the hotel. Then, Sophia came out and stopped a car. The car made a turn and left in the opposite direction. Not long after, Cassie came out. He looked around and also stopped a car, but he went the same direction as Sophia. Then, Song Benlang came out. He knew he had achieved his purpose. It was a fact that the thing had been lost, and even though he was sure it wasn't Sophia's or Cassie's doing, someone had to be the scapegoat. If Cassie and Sophia ran away by themselves, things would be much easier. And he was sure they would run away. Not everyone would be able to take the torture. Sometimes people would rather die than endure it. Sophia and Cassie were substitutes, so if they had questionable loyalty, it would have nothing to do with him. He had finished his part of the mission and given the thing to Sophia. If it wasn't due to her fault, they would have succeeded. Song Benlang went back to the bar. He knew that no matter what, that place was safe. He wasn't in a rush to meet up with Bobby either, as he still had some things to do. He needed to give Sophia and Cassie some time to run. He had to make sure they left Chijo Island so that he could report their tracks to the higher-ups. He would say that they had been sent out individually under his authority because he trusted them, but they ran away halfway. Like that, he would have no responsibility. But as soon as Song Benlang came to his room, he saw a big bearded man sitting there. He subconsciously shivered before hearing him say, "You're very smart. Your plan would indeed push away all responsibility from you." Chapter 633 Scam. Chapter 633 Scam. How can you be here? Song Benlang reacted very fast, but he knew he was done for no matter what. Without hesitating, Song Benlang was about to bite his teeth, but before he could, he was slapped in the face. The poison along with a few bloody teeth fell out. "Is your organization full of rats? Why do you like eating rat poison so much, huh? If I didn't know you guys had this strange fetish, I would have been screwed again." Emo sneered. Although he could save Song Benlang with a Lotus Life pill, he wouldn't want to waste one on trash like him. "Don't think you can get anything out of me." Song Benlang's Chinese wasn't as fluent as Sophia's. Emo sneered. "Tell me this, what is the relationship between the Black Sun Empire and Northern Sand?" Hearing this, Song Benlang's face changed, and he subconsciously wanted to bite his teeth again, but then he remembered the poison was already on the floor. Emo wasn't interested in waiting for him to reply. He just patted Song Benlang on the forehead. Song Benlang wasn't even yellow level, so it was very easy to make him talk. Half an hour later, Emo left the bar and took Song Benlang's communication device and GPS. As for Song Benlang, he was dead. Emo wasn't interested in chasing after small fry like Sophia or Cassie. He wanted to find out who the Black Sun Empire would have sent to deal with him. Also, even Song Benlang didn't really know whether the two organizations were related, but Emo felt that they probably were. He just had no evidence yet. What made Emo feel regretful was that Song Benlang and company were all just agents doing missions in the outside world. They didn't know where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was either. They only knew that they would gather in a certain Japanese hotel when HQ summoned them. The location also varied. It seemed like Emo would need to catch some big fish to find out where their HQ was. Emo guessed that after he cleared Black Star Island, the Black Sun Empire must have become much more wary of him. Messages kept coming into Song Benlang's communicator, but Emo was made to realize that he couldn't understand them, so he just ignored all of them and headed to the location Song Benlang had been luring him to. When he found that his spirit sense could no longer lock onto the target, he took out Song Benlang's GPS and located a barren beach. On the beach there was a body long since dead, and Emo knew it was the body of the man Song Benlang had hired to deliver the gold. The wrapped gold was no longer in his hand. There was only a signal emitter, and nothing else. There was no one around, so Emo scanned the area and came to the conclusion that his opponent must have found out that Song Benlang was killed by Emo. Without enough confidence to face him, he left. He probably took the gold Emo had marked with his spirit sense for research. Emo wasn't all too disappointed, he got what he came for anyway. He knew that even if that person hadn't retreated, he would have just been able to kill one extra person. Emo left the beach and headed to find Xinqianqian. He would ask her if she wanted to go to Luoyu. When Emo found her, he found her outside a store in the middle of an argument with someone. The veil usually covering her face was gone, and she looked very angry. "What's going on?" Emo squeezed over and asked. Xinqianqian saw Emo come over and quickly went to his side. "These people are really shameless. I know this store, and it's very reputable for never having sold fakes no matter where. Yet after two women bought something here, They said it was fake and requested a refund. When the police came, they completely listened to their story and helped the two women take the store owner away and even asked the store to close down immediately. The store also had to pay the two women back 10 times over. Yemo just realized that they were in front of Luo Yu's store. If it was someone else's business, he wouldn't be able to be sure that they weren't selling fake products, but his business definitely wouldn't. "Where's the store owner?" Yemo asked. "Here I am." A youth with a slap mark on his face walked over. There was anger clearly visible in his eyes. Yemo looked at him and said, "Who hit you?" "That woman's husband. That woman framed us, saying we were selling fake beauty pills. Even though when they bought it, I told them to check it on the spot, but they said that they trust our store, so they don't want to. Then, after taking the pills away, they came back and framed us for selling fakes," the youth explained. Yemo nodded. "In that case, shouldn't you slap them back?" "Huh!" The youth looked at the man next to the two women with hesitance. That guy looked way too buff. "If you don't want to hit them back, then never mind, but you'll have been hit for nothing." Yemo wouldn't fire this person, but he really didn't like overly timid people. Hearing this, the store owner manned up and charged over, slapping the offender. Although the store owner was pretty fast, the man was still able to react, but as soon as he did, he found that he wasn't able to move. Slap, slap. Seeing the event, the two policemen were about to come over to arrest the store owner. But then Yemo stepped up and said, "This is a store of Luo Yu. If you dare arrest its store owner before being certain that he was the one in the wrong, you will be challenging Luo Yu. If you do, then don't blame Luo Yu for retaliating." They immediately stopped their steps. If this matter was blown up to challenging Luo Yu, they wouldn't dare take the blame. When Luo Yu was attacked by the US and its alliance, they ended up paying large ransoms to Luo Yu. They had heard that the city lord of Luo Yu was very protective too, so if they got Luo Yu annoyed, that wouldn't be a joke. The people around saw the whole thing and started rumbling, especially those two women. As though feeling that he shouldn't be threatened like that, one police officer said, "No matter what, it's wrong to hit people. We need to take him away." The store owner heard this and said in Korean, "When he hit me first, why didn't you take him away?" Yemo saw that the two policemen were speechless and sneered. "Someone came to make fraudulent claims, yet you police instead take away the innocent and ask Luo Yu for compensation? What logic is this? I'll tell you right now that if you don't compensate Luo Yu before night falls and report whatever TV channel may be responsible for this, Luo Yu will leave South Korea. South Korea will no longer be a friendly nation of Luo Yu." Hearing this, the people around laughed. Who did this big beard think he was? The city lord of Luo Yu? The police felt that they looked bad being threatened by Yemo, so they were going to take the store owner away. But before they did, Yemo told the store owner, "Ask the two women why they took fake medicine to frame Luo Yu." The store owner wasn't able to react, but Shin Qian was also there. She didn't know why Yemo wanted to ask that, but she still spoke in fluent Korean. "You obviously bought the real beauty pill, so why are you using fakes to frame the store?" Many people laughed at the idiotic question. Who would admit to that? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? But what truly shocked everyone was the two women's reply. One woman said, "It's because someone gave us 50 million won and told us to buy a box of pills here and then switch the pills with the fake ones they gave us. We did not only get the 50 million won in exchange, but also the beauty pills." "Yes, that's the case," the other woman said. Right after they said this, though, the women recovered and thought it incredible that they had admitted that. They quickly covered their mouths, but it was too late. "Are you crazy? How can you admit to that?" the man yelled. They really admitted it. People looked at them like they were idiots. These three idiots just said this shop sold fake medicine, yet immediately afterwards, they admitted that they were lying. Only Shin Qian knew that it had something to do with EMO, and she wondered what can't EMO do. The two policemen could no longer take the store owner away and could only take away the three who caused trouble. "Humph, we won't leave it at that," the store owner said. Yemo frowned. He found the whole thing very odd. Which idiot would do something like this? How would it benefit them? Xing Qianqian also felt like it was abnormal. She looked at Yemo and said, "Yemo, I didn't know you were so patriotic. I know Luo you came from China, but why do I feel like there's more to it?" Yemo ignored the store owner and pulled Xing Qianqian into a meeting room and then said, "I'm just looking after my own stuff. I am from Luo Yu, look." Then, he took out a proof of identity as Luo Yu's head engineer. He didn't take out the presidential badge. "Huh, you're really from Luo Yu?" Xing Qianqian asked in shock. But soon she thought, no wonder Yemo could take out a face-preserving pill. Yemo took out his phone to charge it and then said to Xing Qianqian, "If you don't want to stay in Jin City, why don't you come to Luo Yu? I'm sure that with your capabilities you could get your hands on the head of commerce position." Xing Qianqian stared at Yemo with her big eyes and pointed at him after a while. "So you're a higher-up of Luo Yu? You said you came to find me before? It must have all been a plot. You want me to work for you, right?" Yemo approved of her brains. She had already connected the dots. He smiled bitterly. "Yes, when I saw that you weren't living well in the Shen family, I wanted to convince you to go to Luo Yu. Of course, it's fine if you don't want to." Xing Qianqian suddenly got up excitedly and grabbed Yemo's hand. "Who said I don't want to go? I want to go very much. Please help me, I must go. You really are my lucky charm. You gave me the face-preserving pill and now you will help me find work in Luo Yu. I'm too happy." Xing Qianqian was very happy indeed. She had long since planned to go to Luo Yu but didn't have a way, so now that Yemo gave her the opportunity, how could she reject? "Okay, don't be so hasty." Yemo unlocked his phone and was preparing to call Su Yuehua, but as soon as he opened his phone, he received a call. "Second brother, what's up?" It was Su Ping. He rarely called, so Yemo cared about him calling. Seeing that the call had gone through, Su Ping immediately said, "Third brother, if we still hadn't reached you, I would have had to declare war on Indonesia." Yemo smiled. "Second brother, stop joking. Now is different to before, we can't just casually start wars. We're not strong to the point where we can fight whomever we want. We need a reason to fight dash." Before Su Ping said anything, Su Yuehua took the phone. "President, it's me, Yuehua. What's up, Sister Yuehua?" Yemo felt that things didn't seem right. Su Yuehua was rather calm as she said slowly, "Over the last 2 days, our outlets in different countries have been experiencing some problems. The stores of more than 10 different countries have reported that people were framing us, claiming that we were selling fakes. A few of them have even been knocked down." Yemo's eyes went cold. Things weren't as simple as it looked at first glance indeed. There was obviously someone behind this. Those who didn't know the truth would think that there really was a problem with Luo Yu. "What's the exact situation?" Yemo asked again. Su Yuehua replied. 3 stores were cracked down in 3 countries where the workers weren't hurt, but in Indonesia, 6 people died. We've closed the store there, and the personnel has come back. Brother Su is in favor of attacking Indonesia. Although I'm also very angry, I don't believe it very suitable to declare war for just that." Yemo sneered. He knew there were parties that didn't want Luo Yu to develop too rapidly. These means would be effective against other countries, but not against Luo Yu. Thus Yemo said, "Sister Yuehua, concerning the countries that didn't deal with the situation in our benefit, immediately take all of the products we sell there out of circulation and shut down all military and commercial relations with those countries. At the same time, if they have any businesses in Luo Yu, shut those down too until they realize their mistake and pay us enough compensation." "Okay." Su Yuehua agreed without hesitating. Luo Yu never had to feel troubled about marketing. When Luo Yu pulled out from a country, the one that should be worrying was that country and not Luo Yu. And Su Yuehua knew that halting military and commercial relations meant that those countries wouldn't be getting their interference machines even if they had paid for it already. "What about Indonesia?" Su Yuehua knew that Yemo wouldn't let that country go easily. Although Luo Yu had almost 300,000 immigrants, it was still far from well populated, and the citizens didn't have enough solidarity. Thus, Su Yuehua didn't want to solve things through military means. As for Indonesia, Yemo's tone went cold. Halt all of our businesses there and kick their businesses out of Luo Yu. At the same time, stop all relations with them and ask them to compensate 70 billion Luo Yu dollars. Su Yuehua took a deep breath. The Luo Yu dollar had about the same worth as the euro. This was 90 billion US dollars. Su Yuehua was sure that Indonesia wouldn't pay that. I don't think they will compensate that, Su Yuehua said worriedly. Yemo sneered. Of course I know they won't. Make a global announcement that when Luo Yu was in the beginning of its development, Indonesia conspired with pirates to attack Luo Yu. We have evidence and many people who are still in captivity. We'll show their faces on TV. Say that Luo Yu had been trying to keep harmony with Indonesia, didn't take things personally, and even sold them some technology, yet this is how they repay us. They trashed our stores and killed our employees, yet their government not only refuses to punish the criminals, but instead it points the blame at Luo Yu. And under such circumstances, Luo Yu still chooses to resolve things peacefully and only asks for compensation. Su Yuehua understood where Yemo was going, and she immediately asked, What about the Union? We'll report our losses to them and tell them that our $20 billion research project was destroyed in Indonesia. Yemo said. Of course, everything we do needs to be reported to the world. Also, I do want you to say that if Indonesia does not respond within a week, Luo Yu might use military means to resolve the issue. Yemo's tone was very cold. What? Su Yuehua's hands shook, and her phone almost fell. What? Xingqianqian was dumbfounded. Chapter 635, Behind the Scenes. Chapter 635, Behind the Scenes. Yemo dared declare war without looking for allies first just because Luo Yu's store was smashed and a few people died. Although Su Yuehua was the one in charge of Luo Yu now, since Yemo had spoken, she wouldn't disagree. Xingqianqian was also dazed. When Yemo put down the phone, she asked, Yemo, were you talking to the city lord of Luo Yu, Su Yuehua? And you wish to declare war on Indonesia? Who are you? Yemo put down the phone and smiled. Many people have asked me this, but you can find that out when you get to Luo Yu. All I will say is that even though Sister Yuehua thinks that I'm not suited for politics, the truth is that it's not that I don't know how to deal with politics, but that I can't be bothered to. Now, if you still want to go, I will give you a number to call. Yes, of course I want to go, Xingqianqian replied without hesitation. No matter who Yemo was, it was her dream to go to Luo Yu. Yemo looked at the store owner. Do you have a recording of the two women admitting to their scam? The store owner seemed to have realized that Yemo wasn't ordinary, and immediately said, Yes, there's a video recording. Okay, send that video recording to our official website. You might be able to get promoted thanks to it. Yemo smiled. The store owner immediately realized that it was a good opportunity. If he was the one to provide evidence of the scam, his higher-ups would promote him for sure. He respectfully sent Yemo and Xingqianqian away before dealing with the recording. Before Yemo left Chizhou Island, Luo Yu once again caught the attention of the world. Luo Yu Pharmaceuticals had been accused of selling fakes in many different stores. In some countries, the stores were even robbed and smashed, and most Western countries sued Luo Yu. Indonesia's store was the most absurd case. Not only did some people demolish the whole store, but multiple employees were even killed. The Indonesian government had then actually voiced their support to the culprits, and asked Luo Yu to compensate those people. Those who didn't know better thought that something had really happened to Luo Yu, but those with a clear mind knew that it was probably a new plan targeting Luo Yu. Many people thought that Luo Yu's sales would start plummeting, yet after one day of negotiation, Luo Yu made a strong statement. The statement declared that the accounts of fake medicine were fraudulent, and a case of them being framed. Luo Yu's base promise was that Luo Yu would never sell fake products. Luo Yu stated that they would halt all collaboration with those countries that had treated Luo Yu unfairly. As for Indonesia, because Luo Yu was a peace-loving country, they only requested Indonesia to compensate 70 billion Luo dollars and hand over the culprits in order to avoid war. If Luo Yu did not receive this as well as an apology within 1 week, they would declare war. The day Luo Yu made this claim, Luo Yu's official website uploaded a clip of 2 women admitting their claims had been fraudulent. Although people didn't know why the 2 women would admit to everything, there were a lot of witnesses in the video, so it was soon confirmed that the video was not fake. After Luo Yu pulled out of their cooperation with some countries, those countries began to worry. They didn't think such small matters would be taken so seriously. Thinking about how their military deals had gone to waste due to some minor issues, those countries became desperate. Representatives quickly started to fly to Luo Yu to ask for peace and a resolution. The Korean government was all the more annoyed. Due to 2 women's greed, the interference machine they had been about to get and their collaboration with Luo Yu was gone with the wind. How could they deal with this? The world was getting more and more unsettled, and if some other country with interference machines went to war but you didn't have any, like the Korean army now, you would be crippled. At the same day Luo Yu made the announcement, the 2 policemen were taken away, and the South Korean government did the best they could to help catch the mastermind in order to get Luo Yu's forgiveness and continued cooperation. After these events, Yemo felt like all those cases didn't seem to have a direct connection to many countries. Unless they were idiots, those countries wouldn't do that. It didn't benefit them in any way and instead only caused trouble with Luo Yu. Even if the countries did want to do something like it, they should wait until they got the interference machines. Yemo could tell that there might be a third party involved, but he wasn't going to change his plan. If Yemo could have such considerations, so could other people. The incidents had all occurred in countries that had signed a contract for the interference machines. After thinking it through, people immediately guessed there had to have been a third party involved which wanted to jeopardize the relations of Luo Yu and those countries. Decreasing Luo Yu's sales might have been one target, but stopping the military cooperation of Luo Yu with those countries must have been the main goal. Those countries also soon understood the situation and knew that they had to find Luo Yu to resolve the matter. In order to do that, they had to investigate the fraudulent claims. As for Luo Yu's statement about Indonesia, that didn't concern them. So what if they fought? Perhaps thanks to this war, they would find out about Luo Yu's offensive capabilities. Luo Yu's war with the US had only proved that their defense was unparalleled. The US felt most wronged about the whole thing, and the new US president quickly held a meeting. The US knew that many people would suspect them to have been the mastermind, because the US would definitely like it if Luo Yu got on the bad side of so many other countries. But God knew that they had nothing to do with it. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.